Good morning. I will now call the January 9th, 2024 San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting, the redevelopment successor agency meeting, and the flood control district meeting to order. I'd like to first take a moment to acknowledge the land we call home. There are communities in the San Diego region that face unjust conditions and circumstances related to the environment in which they live. Tribal nations of the San Diego region are an example of one community that historically faced such injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We our respect to the unceded territory and homelands of the 18 tribal nations and our cultural groups, the Kimia, the Yina, the Luceña, the Cupeño, and the Cahuilla. We aspire to learn from the indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the injustices of the past. Zach, clerk, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Supervisor Anderson? Here. Supervisor Montgomery Stepp?
Here.
Supervisor Desmond?
Here.
Vice Chair Lawson Reamer? Chairwoman Vargas.
We will now have Father Scott Santurosa deliver the invocation, and following the invocation, Liam Wong will deliver the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand for the invocation and the pledge.
Good morning. I'd like to begin this prayer by reading a poem entitled Variation on Psalm 23 by Christine Rogers. Right now, right this very moment, I am fully in this moment, and I can smell the grass, the freshly perfumed grass, sparkling green before me. And I can see the sky, the enormously promising sky, sparkling blue above me. And right now, right this very moment, I am not afraid. Let us pray. Loving God, Father and Mother of us all, right now, right this very moment, help us to be fully present to this day, to one another, to the business at hand, to the challenges facing the people of this county, and to all that is entrusted to this board. Help us to recall the freshly perfumed grass, to recall the enormously promising blue sky just outside this building, to recall the beauty of this place called San Diego and the beauty of its people. And maybe, just maybe, we will not be afraid. Be with us, O God, right now, right this very moment. Help us to be fully present. And together we say, Amen.
Place your right hand over your heart for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Give you a round of applause for that. That was a wonderful job. All right, with that, we have one item, that is the selection of chair, vice chair, and chair pro tem for the 2024 Board of Supervisors meeting. We will now move on to item number 1, selection of chair, vice chair, and chair pro tem for the 2024 Board of Supervisors. I'm going to hand it over to the clerk to let us go through the process.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. The Board of Supervisors Rules of Procedure Rule 5 dictates the process for selection of the board's officers. The rule specifies that the officers of the board are the chair, the vice chair, and the chair pro tem. The method of nomination and selection of chair, vice chair, and chair pro tem will be at the discretion of the board. The board may solicit nominations for the chair or a slate of chair, vice chair, and chair pro tem. Any nomination must have a second, and if the person nominated declines the position, the nomination will be withdrawn. Upon successful election of a chair, the balance of the meeting or the nomination for vice chair, if no slate of officers was elected, will be conducted by the incoming chair. It would be appropriate to consider a nomination for chair or a slate that includes the chair, vice chair, and chair pro tem.
Do any of my comments, my colleagues have any comments? Okay.
Great. Can we make nominations? Is that okay? First of all, I just want to thank Chairwoman Vargas for her wonderful leadership over the last year, very tumultuous year. And yeah, I mean, you've had a really crazy ride in many, many ways. So I just so grateful for that leadership and would love to see that continue. So if I have the opportunity, I'd love to nominate Chairwoman Vargas for a second term as chair. I'd like to nominate myself for vice chair, and Supervisor Anderson for pro tem.
Thank you. I accept. Is there a second? Thank you. All right. With that, Supervisor Anderson?
I'd just like to, let me turn my mic on. It's a new year. I have to learn everything again. I want to thank you for your leadership last year. We did a lot on Sandag, creating a seat for the unincorporated so they have a voice at the table now. I really appreciate that you've taken into consideration all our constituents, not just your district, but all of our districts through your leadership. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Supervisor.
Thank you so much, Chair. I was watching from afar for most of last year, but I also want to say that even from afar, your leadership had impact, and I look forward to working with you in 2024. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. All right.
And I'll ditto that as well. We don't always agree, but I appreciate your leadership and how you run the meetings.
Thank you, sir. So with that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Oh, sorry, public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 12 requests to speak in this item, 5 in person and 7 requesting to speak by phone. Also note for the record that we received 4 e-comments, 1 in favor, 1 in opposition, and 2 neutral. Any members of the public that requested to speak in item 1 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the speaker in favor, David Lagstein. And David will be followed by the speakers in opposition, Pam, Michael Brando, speaker slip with the name Gambler, and Audra. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
All right. Good morning, Chair Vargas and the Board of Supervisors, CAO. My name is Dave Lagstein. On behalf of SEIU Local 221, Crystal Irving is running late, so I'm here to speak on Crystal and 221's behalf. We're here to support the re-election of Chair Vargas to continue serving. We've known and we've worked with the chair for many years, and I think what's most important is that the values that you bring to your position and to the seat. You have a lot of difficult decisions to navigate, and last year has been really difficult, as some of the speakers have said. But the difficult decision to be navigated by your experience, by your values, by your connection to the workforce, and connection to the community, that's the guiding light. And we just want to say we appreciate you, we have confidence in you, and we look forward to continuing to work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Happy New Year. Pam, as per the Equity Impact Statement, the chair is to ensure all have an equal opportunity to observe and participate in the proceedings. The board promotes civil discourse in public discussion and debate. I must say this is quite a contrast to Agenda Item 15. Supervisor Joel, I've been with you on some items, but you gave up $6 million to the illegal immigrants, so pro tem would be okay with me. Supervisor Monica, your very first meeting, you were condescending to public speakers in opposition of your opinion, stating multiple times that those individuals complain. Under the First Amendment of the Constitution, we have the right of free exercise to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So no to any chair position. Supervisor Tara, you encouraged drag queen shows for minor children. You accused individuals choosing not to be injected with an unknown substance as being a danger to your daughter. And then in reality, after reportedly being injected, you contracted COVID and you are the danger, and you never offered an apology for your accusation. You pushed to change the definition of a woman to include men born with, have, or have had a penis. You threatened pregnancy centers, citing they don't give correct information about abortion, when we all know there's only one purpose: to kill unborn babies. So no to any chair position for you. I support Supervisor Jim Desmond as chairman or vice chair, but I'm okay with Supervisor Nora to remain as chairwoman. My reason? To borrow your phrase, Supervisor Nora, we see you, we hear you, we got you figured out. No to Nora on Sandag, but Jim on Sandag.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Gambler here, and apparently we're going to make a choice and we're going to act like we have a say. It's clear we don't. It's clear because we are probably one of the biggest contractors there are now, where Nora and Tara are looking all over for all pieces of land to give it to businesses. How much are you picking up off of each one of these deals? Did you know? Quick little history lesson. There was another county that did something similar to what you guys are doing right now. They ended up getting paid basically $1 per every single citizen. Every single county employee manager knows this story. But for some reason, the Board of Supervisors don't. You should really look into, ask Helen about it. I would say ask Joe Cadero, but he left shortly after I was fired. The last time I wore this suit, the last time I worked for the county, I was wearing this suit, and apparently I gained a little bit of weight since then. I have learned to calm down, to address you in a respectful manner, but yet none of you choose to respect us. I have asked for 3 years to have a conversation regarding elections. You want to ignore it. Now, everyone is talking about how lax our signature verification process is. That is getting around all over the place, and it will get spread a lot more after tomorrow, because Tim Pool is going to interview Vivek Ramaswamy. They're going to look back at his past videos, and yesterday's video explains all this perfectly. People going around collecting ballots, signing for them, and you guys just accepting them and saying they're good.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Here's your selection.
But I take offense. I take offense to that. I really take offense to that. I don't know what political games people want to play around this stuff. I don't care. I find that very offensive.
I didn't say the things you said. I said.
I heard you say, sir. Go ahead.
But it's not what I said.
Nobody's bullying, sir. I'm
Listen
asking
to
a
what
question.
they're saying.
You
I
said
did
corruption.
never.
Corruption and illegal is the same thing.
Chair, could I please respond to that?
Did somebody
think
do
that-
something illegal? Can you tell me that right now?
I don't think this is illegal.
Yes, it is, because you just made.
I didn't say illegal. I said unethical.
You said it was corruption on the executive committee.
I'm sorry, Chair.
Yes,
This
you
is
did.
highly inappropriate.
Can you please read what the comment was?
I didn't say illegal.
You
I
said
did never.
corruption. Corruption and illegal is the same thing. Can you
I don't
please
think
read
it
this
is.
minute?
I believe it.
I am running this committee. State that for the record right now.
I'm not going to judge whether there was corruption or coercion.
Okay,
What
so-
I'm saying is what happened.
Okay.
There's something rotten here.
Okay,
And we
but
need-
no corruption,
and
no
we need to-
coercion?
We need to fix that.
No corruption, no coercion.
So rather than bully people.
Nobody's bullying, sir. I'm
Listen
asking
to
a
what they're
question.
saying. There is massive dissatisfaction with the way business is being conducted at Sandag, and there should be something done. So thank you.
Well, that doesn't take much to explain that, the narcissism that sits in this room. And that was from Sandag. All of you people play like everything's all hunky-dory, everything's all nice and wonderful, just like you did with Nathan Fletcher. This is a pretty funny rag, but it's got some great satire because the same fate, I guarantee you, and it has nothing to do with what anybody else is going to do, is awaiting Nora Fletcher. Nora Fletcher. Well, I guess that fits. Nora Vargas. Self-implosion is coming. I guarantee she probably won't be here in this office by the end of the year.
Can you please state your name for the record, please?
Michael.
Next speaker, please.
A person uses the name Audra. So welcome to the clown show. It's so interesting because it's like if people really cared about what was going on in the county, they sure as heck wouldn't nominate Nora to continue on her path of tyranny. But it's good because you are very transparent, Nora, and you will be the maker of your own demise. You think that it will be the people coming and holding you accountable when in fact, just like Nathan, as Michael said, he fell from his own doing. All of you will fall from your own doing. All we have to do is stay on top of you and make sure that you're going to do it because it's inevitable. And it's sad, Jim, that you would think like you're gonna prop her up again. It's like you don't represent the people if you're gonna do that. And the fact that you can be on a Sandag board and sit there and do the same thing to them that you do to the people and act like, oh, woe is me. Oh, my feelings are hurt. These people are saying bad things that is making me look bad. Then maybe if you weren't doing those things, the people wouldn't have to call you out like that. The people on your own board are fed up with you. So it's sad to see that there's less of you here and we're like Tara, who's never here, gonna be vice chair again. That's smart. But it's good because it just proves that everything that we talk about is the truth. And what you guys do is you come back and you attack us while you sit there and act like, oh my gosh, my feelings are hurt. You know what? My body still hurts from getting the shit beaten out of me by the sheriff. And none of you guys ever said anything about that, right? But we can talk about your feelings and how people follow you around, right, Nora? Don't incestually be on every board if you don't want people following you around and holding you accountable. That's our job as the people. You don't have authority over us.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Hold the board. The person selected for chairperson should be someone who does not lose his or her cool under fire. I think it's bad to respond to vulgarisms with vulgarisms, to argue with speakers or even other members of the board. Prejudge the actions or speech of people. When a person in authority does it, even only once or twice, it diminishes his or her authority as much as if he or she does it all the time. We want someone who applies the rules of conduct equally to all parties and who does not diminish the reputation of this board. We also need someone in the chair who knows the law, the U.S. and California constitutions, and the Brown Act, in particular Section 54957.95B, and does not diminish due process or put undue bounds on free speech. It is important that this year we have supervisors who research, read, and consider arguments on both sides of an issue. If there is many pros and cons, you should think of the people who will be affected as well as those who, probably unwillingly, will implement the plan. Too many for the plan to work. Thank you.
Now hear from the next speaker.
So the people will definitely, sorry, I just got a call, sorry. Yeah, the people who are not paying attention will pay dearly. They rely heavily on ignorance and gullibility and lack of participation of the people. But we know you're all just pawns. Reminder, they too are just puppets. Notice now how these politicians, oh, there she is, these small businesses, good morning, status slave, small businesses, ask yourselves why. Look up private and public sectors and how these corporations have their own dirty hands in it all. It's not because they want to encourage small businesses. It's because they will eventually be controlling them all. So they will get away with it because the masses are more into who's going to the fucking Super Bowl and who's running their county's business. That's all I got.
Thank you. For the record, that speaker is Consuelo. Now hear from the next caller.
It's truth, Jeremiah chapter 4. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. This meeting had to be a full hour before the next regular meeting because, one, this is a historic moment when we all pretend that we don't know that Jim's going to get passed up for the 4th year in a row. And number two, last election, Monica's people stayed for a catered celebration on the taxpayers' dime. And that exclusive, not inclusive, wannabe blue blood club made us people with real business to address have to wait until about 11:20 a.m. to finally begin the real meeting. But that was your day, right, Monica? The day where clapping and loud noise was temporarily okay for your arrival, but not for anything else. Exclusivity and inequity. But I don't blame you for that. Responsibility lies on the chair. Hypocritical imbalances are not a sign of fair leadership and not becoming of someone for the position of chair. And so even though I do like you, Nora, I would almost lean towards Jim for the chair position. Even though you're anti-clapping, Jim, which makes zero lawful or logical sense, I do appreciate that you always listen to speakers, whether or not you agree. And I feel like you're pretty fair to your colleagues in crime, too. The only thing you're missing is serious conviction. As far as the vice chair, Tara has done a horrible job. Most of the time she emits no emotion and pays zero attention to speakers. I've even had people from other counties ask me about her behavior. And there's no way Tara could even run this meeting if you were gone, Nora. Heck, she can't even be bothered to show up on time, but she sure knows how to leave a meeting early. In short, Tara doesn't even try to at least pretend to care. Checking out deserves a kicking out. But my prediction is Nora remaining chair, Tara remaining vice chair, even though she always no-shows everyone, and Monica as the new chair pro tem. Predictably exclude the old guy Republicans, put all the women in there, and let's pretend there's progress because everyone politically agrees with each other. Conformity of thought. That is status quo.
Thank you. Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
So with that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you. All right, so first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to my colleagues for their support to lead the county board. I'm very, very appreciative of this. We've done a lot of wonderful work together. We've had some challenges last year, but I think that we've been able to address these challenges and really always ensuring that we are keeping our communities at the forefront. And so I'm really proud that last year we passed the largest, most historic budget in the county of San Diego, $8.1 billion, while still, maintaining fiscally prudent in all of our investments and supports of the many issues that we are addressing, from mental health care to homelessness, substance use disorder challenges, improving the justice system, really working with our working families and maintaining our court services like roads, fire protection, and parks. And so I'm proud of the work that we've done there. I'm also proud that for those of you who may or may not keep track of this, as a board, most of us four, and then now we're going to have our supervisor who's also going to join us, we actually introduced together 577 board letters that impact the work and so thank you to all of the staff. I'm looking at you, and for all the work that you've done around this, because these are all board letters that are impactful and have really, I believe, will be impacting our communities. And so It's important that we continue this work. We will be providing a proclamation to Helen in a minute, but I did want to publicly just say thank you to her for coming out of retirement or never really going on retirement and really continuing to be a true partner in this process. So it really means a lot to myself, to my colleagues, and to the county community for everything that you've done. I know what a sacrifice it is when you have clear plans about what you were expecting to do last year, and for you to make those changes, we appreciate you. And then also to our county workforce, it was last year we made some of the biggest decisions in terms of ensuring that some of the, I think, we did what we could to make sure that we made some tough decisions, but we ensured that some of the best agreements took place. There's still a lot of work to be done, and you have my commitment that we will continue to do that. And so with that, our work and our success is directly attributed to the hardworking county team, our employees, who every day wake up and they have a commitment to not only themselves, but to make this a better county for all San Diegans. So as budgets tighten up throughout the state, we have to be diligent and we have to be smarter with our resources. We have to prioritize the health and safety of our residents and support local businesses so that they have an opportunity to thrive. So with that, the work ahead will not be easy, but I have no doubt with compassion, deliberate work, and collaborative spirit, we're going to be able to once again move the county forward and our communities forward and do the great things that we are meant to do as your elected officials and representatives. So I'm looking forward to a great year. So thank you again for that opportunity. With that, we're going to move forward to item number 2, which is the appointments of board members to boards and commissions. We will now, Kirk, can you go ahead and call the public for that?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 9 requests to speak on item 2, 3 in person, 6 requesting to speak by phone. Also note that we received 3 e-comments, 1 in favor and 1 neutral. Any members of the public that requested to speak on item 2 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. All speakers are in opposition of this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is their turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward Michael Brando, Gambler, Audra. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Gambler here, and since you went ahead and mentioned Helen, I want to go ahead and make a comment regarding that. I once respected you immensely. Now I'm kind of glad that you're gone.
Just a reminder, if you could please stick to the item before you, which is item number 2, appointments of board members, commissions, and committees. We're not going to start this early, all right? So please feel free to go ahead and focus on the item before you.
Can I get my time back? No? Okay. I would be able to conclude the whole conversation on that, but you don't want to allow me to finish my speech, so I'll go ahead and go up to that point, and we could guess how it connects into this. Helen, I'm glad you're gone because the next person is going to have to address the voter fraud issue. Whoever takes that place. I wanted it to be you, quite honestly, because I wanted to hold you responsible for that issue. Now, because of all these new appointments and you guys choosing to do what you want to do, the rules don't apply until after you submit them at 15, by the way. You know, you have to approve it before you could stop me from talking about this. So, yeah, I'm extremely glad that we lose you.
So I'm going to go ahead and give you your first warning that we're off topic, so please continue with your items on agenda item 2, please.
Because she allowed an election to go through that was completely and utterly anyone could fraud. That they counted 90% of fraudulent ballots. You don't believe me? then let me do a check.
So I'm just going to go ahead and warn you that this is your second warning. You're being warned that you're off topic, and so I'm just going to make sure that everybody understands that was agenda item number 2, and your comments are unrelated to the agenda items for impeding the orderly conduct of the meeting. If you continue off topic, your time will be forfeited in accordance with the Board of Rules and Procedures Rule number 40. So that was your second warning, just letting you know. Thank you very much. Next person.
Thank you. I'd also like to invite forward Paul the Bold and Consuelo.
Tyranny is off the charts. A person uses the name Audra. If I have one of these, does it make me special? Right? Does it give me authority? Just like a costume, right? When you wear a costume, people act like they have authority. When you're sitting up on a dais, people act like they have authority, right, over the people. And it's funny because it's like, it's such an illusion of choice. All the things that come here, and it's like, tell us what you think, right? When you guys already know what you're going to be doing. You already know who you're going to put on the boards. Yeah, I'm on topic, Nora. It's okay. It's okay. Do you want to, is yours bigger? Do you want to have a hammer contest? We could do that.
All right, so you just want to make sure you know you're off topic.
I'm
so
off
please
topic.
confine your comments to agenda item number 2. That's your
Number
first
2,
warning.
yeah, the boards and commissions, right? And it's an illusion of choice that the people actually have a say in anything that goes on. And you all act like you represent the people. And nobody knows who you are, Tara. And if they do, they're like, see, that's the sad thing is you guys think that you represent all the people that are in your community,
All
right,
this
Jim?
is your second warning. You're again being warned that you are off topic.
Am I?
Agenda item number 2, and your comments are unrelated to the agenda item.
It's unrelated to
Orderly
boards and
conduct of the meeting,
commissions.
and
The
if you
fact that you
continue
guys,
off the topic, your time will be forfeited in accordance with the board's.
are you gonna have me beat up outside too? That will be so fun. Do you want to be the one to do it this time? Or Nora, did you want to do it? Because you could take me out and beat the shit out of me if you want. Would that be fun? I don't know, we could have a contest to see who's more powerful, right? Oh, one day you guys will understand that you don't have any authority over the people. And that day is coming very, very fast.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, Paul Bold. Let me remind you that the Brown Act allows complaints and does not specify that they need to be on topic. It looks like some of these boards you're pointing people to were created by the county. For a board member to be the chair or member of a committee the board created, it's a conflict of interest, corrupt or not, and illegal or not. When was our newest board member appointed to boards? They all seem to be good appointments, but I am a little concerned that there may have been limited public input. I also think that someone who introduced a measure limiting due process and free speech, that is, closing fake pregnancy crisis centers, and today's rules change, should not be either principal or alternate on anything to do with public safety or legal issues, and probably not on Transnet's, on SENDAG's Transnet committee either. Finally, Mr. Kazmer, who is mentioned in the agenda, may be more qualified than the board members he is supposed to substitute for on the San Dieguito River Park JPA. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Michael, we're not going to start this early. Well, guess what? We are. We're talking about these boards and commissions and all of this stuff going on. And this is actually goes back to the concept of character. Character. That ties to this and how all these different people are placed on these different commissions and what have you, because they're all running the same agenda. And it's not an agenda for what people want. So actually, none of these people should be appointed. And I actually want to call out one person who doesn't need to be appointed, along with the rest of you, Monica Montgomery Stepp. And this has nothing to do with race. I'm so tired of hearing things about race, BIPOC, gay, binary, whatever. I watched her from afar at the city of San Diego. She's an anti-science person.
Sir, I'm just going to inform you that you are off topic. Please confine your comments to the agenda item.
Nora, are you looking for a lawsuit? Because I'm not off topic. I actually said what I was talking about. And what's wonderful is that this demonstrates your character, because it shows that you're not fit to be sitting in that seat. You're not fit to be sitting on any commissions at all. So keep on bringing it on. And I am going to talk about this because she's not fit. Anti-science. How do scientists ask questions? This is a simple book. All of you people are involved in pushing nonsense, including this medical officer wearing a face cam. It's almost like you have your face cams over your eyes. You can't see what's going on. And you wonder why people get angry. Because you actually facilitate it. Why? Because it's all based on this inauthenticity. And that's why none of you should even be here, let alone be on any commissions. Inauthenticity. People can smell it. They can smell it a mile away when they become aware of it. And that's the beauty of 2024.
Next speaker, please.
For disrupting the meeting.
Consuelo. So just wanted to point out how George Carlin, he was, wow, amazing. He would like to comment.
Sounds more like human planning. Sounds more like one group trying to control another group. In other words, business as usual in America. Now, if you think you do have rights, one last assignment for you. Next time you're at the computer, get on the internet, go to Wikipedia. When you get to Wikipedia, in the search field for Wikipedia, I want you to type in Japanese Americans 1942, and you'll find out all about your precious fucking rights, okay? All right. You know about it. You know about it. Yeah. In 1942, there were 110,000 Japanese American citizens in good standing, law-abiding people who were thrown into internment camps simply because their parents were born in the wrong.
Consuelo, the item before you is item number 2, so you are off topic, so please confine your comments to the agenda item.
It's not off topic. I promise you, it's not off topic. Rewind. Sorry,
that was your first
George.
warning.
Sorry, George. Haunt her in her dreams.
Camps simply because their parents were born in the wrong country. That's all they did wrong. They had no right to a lawyer, no right to a fair trial, no right to a jury of their peers, no right to due process of any kind. The only right they had, right this way, into the
So I'm just going to go ahead and let you know that you're off topic, and you're being warned that you're off topic. This is agenda item number 2. And your comments are unrelated to the agenda item. If you're impeding the orderly conduct of the meeting, if you continue off topic, your time will be forfeited in accordance to the board rules of procedures, rule number 4E. So that was your second warning.
I was on topic. Again, you didn't like what was being, you didn't like what you were hearing.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'll remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Truth, I actually agree with many of the committee choices, except no tariff for any sand activity.
Truth, give me one second.
Continue to correct. Okay.
Please. So just a reminder, if you're disrupting the meeting, for those of you who are here, some of you already have some warnings. You will be asked to leave the meeting. We have a very packed, very important meeting today, and so I'm asking you one more time to be civil. If you can't do that, I'm going to ask that you be removed from the premises. So.
It's facility, all right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Truth. I'm going to restart your time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad maybe we can have some civility and we can stop the interruptions. As I was saying, Monica should continue to be the rep at the dying entity that is efficient and safe public transit at MTS. Joel, I appreciated your comments and questions at the last Public Safety Committee, but are you passing off responsibility to the unincorporated East County areas by having another unincorporated area rep on the board? Nora, most people think your worst performance is here at the county, but I'm actually going to argue at Sandag. Here's evidence of rottenness.
78. It is a disaster. I'm going to continue to advocate for what I think happened. I'm not finished, excuse me, Chair.
But I take offense to anyone saying that there's no transparency. I find that very offensive. So with that, can I respond to the accusation? Sir. I didn't say the things you said I said.
Behind the scenes of collusion and corruption, and a Sandag staff member actually doing this, we cannot allow our staff members to bully board members.
Were any of you asked to do anything illegal, or were any of you bullies? Because if you were, you need to tell me right now in public.
This is highly inappropriate. I didn't say illegal.
Corruption and illegal is the same thing.
I don't think it is. I'm not going to judge whether there was corruption or coercion.
Okay.
What I'm saying is what happened.
Okay, that's good.
There's something rotten here.
Okay, there's no corruption or coercion?
Rather than bully people.
Nobody's bullying them. I'm asking
what they're saying.
Let me run my meeting. No, this is not the Nora Show.
Not the Nora Show. So I actually want to see Jim head back to Sandag because of his previous experience and fairness. Many people currently on the board lack common sense, ethics, and even logic, and are so obsessed with their personal political agenda that they've created a dysfunctional entity that is becoming a ridiculous eyesore that clearly does not represent the people. I'd also like to see the whole...
Thank you. Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
So, Consuelo.
Okay.
No, actually, this would be your, is it third warning now? Yeah, second warning. So you're disrupting the meeting, so it's, so I'm just letting you know, right, that no person in the audience of board meetings shall engage in conduct and that disrupts the orderly conduct of any meeting, including not limited to the utterance of loud, threatening language, whistling, stamping on feeds, speaking over or interrupting the recognized speaker, repeated, waving, or terms of others. All right, Paul, that's your second warning. Right, Consuelo, you have two. With that, is there a motion, colleagues?
Chair, I'll move the item.
Right. Motion and a second, please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
All right, thank you. With that, we're going to take a recess and we'll come back at exactly 10 a.m. to continue the rest of the meeting. All right, good morning. We're going to now proceed with our proclamations and awards. I'm going to be presenting the first proclamation honoring Helen Robbinsmeyer. Accepting the proclamation will be Helen. Are you excited? Come with me. Yes. Yeah, we can. I was going to let each person speak. So if you want to speak down here or up here, whatever works for you. Want to come down here? All right. Come down for Helen. Buenos dias. Good morning, everyone. This is a very bittersweet moment for me. It is my honor to present this proclamation today to our amazing leader, CAO, and friend, Helen Robbinsmeyer. Can we give her a big round of applause? So Helen has faithfully and diligently served the County of San Diego for 25 years, having been essential in ensuring excellence of county operations. Helen served as the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer of the county's Community Service Group, developing and implementing programs that benefit all residents of the county, and then promoted to Assistant Chief Administrative Officer in 1997. Helen became the first female Chief Administrative Officer in 2012, and since then has implemented transformative projects, effectively shepherding a significant changes and shifts in our board direction, and has served with the utmost level of ethics, integrity, dedication, and value-driven decision-making. Helen has overseen and implemented the policies of board supervisors for more than a decade and ensured that sound stewardship of the county's $8.17 billion operating budget. She has focused on providing a positive customer service experience for every resident in San Diego County in partnership with our 20,000 plus employees that have propelled this organization to excellence. Under her leadership, County has earned over 600 state and national awards for programs and services, and she has been repeatedly recognized throughout the state and the nation by her colleagues as a role model, a mentor, and an expert professional. Helen has always led by example, putting service before self. And as I mentioned to everyone, you know, she did this specifically last year, coming out of retirement, or never actually going in retirement. She has advised and guided numerous county leaders who have progressed and excelled in their careers. Helen has led the County of San Diego as the Director of Emergency Services and Regional Coordinator of Emergency Services during numerous fires, disasters, and emergencies, and during COVID. Her leadership was essential to the county's ability to address the region's public health needs. I met Helen during my previous position. We got an opportunity to work together, but what I've seen in the last couple of years, particularly during some of the most challenging times during COVID, and last year was some of the big challenges that we faced, Helen has always been available at all hours of the night, weekends, but not just to me as the chair or when I was the vice chair, but to all of my colleagues, and I know she does that with her executive team and her leadership team as well. And I think some of you may or may not know this story, but she was cleaning bathrooms and picking up stuff during the refugee, when we were trying to figure out how we were going to make sure that our, when we were trying to address the humanitarian crisis. And that's the type of person who she is. She will roll up her sleeves and do whatever is right to make sure that our county moves forward. So we are going to miss you. We appreciate you. And so today it is my honor, on behalf of my colleagues and myself, this day, January 9th, to commend Helen Robbinsmeyer for her outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and do hereby declare today Helen Robbinsmeyer's Day throughout San Diego County.
Helen, I just want to express so much gratitude to you for all of your service and all of your leadership, and so much that you did before I got here and before we got here, but even just in the last few years, having had the opportunity to work with you and learn from you, and we did this as a county such an extraordinary job in COVID and so many other huge challenges, and I think we all owe you a huge debt of gratitude. And I would just say, on a personal level, I really look up to you and I admire you, and I think you're really a role model. So, thank you.
Well, I want to thank you, Helen, as well, for all that you have done for this county and this community. I mean, I've had the pleasure of working with you for the last 5 years, and it's phenomenal, you know, what you know. And unfortunately, you're taking that with you because you ask Helen anything on any subject here at the county, and she knows what's going on, and she'll get back to you right away all the time. You work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's done a phenomenal job. And you've been really even-handed, too. Even with all the politics and things that go on up here at the dais, you've been even-handed, done your job correctly and professionally, and I think you really can walk out of here with your head held high, and for all the respect that you've earned here at the county. And I know you've got 20,000 plus employees that work underneath Helen, and I'm sure you are respected by each and every one of them, and they all feel the respect that you give them as well. So I really think, you know, you're a great asset here to the county. We're going to be greatly missed. We appreciate everything you've done.
Okay, I'll be short because I've only been here a month. But I want to say thank you so much, Helen. And one of our first experiences working together was working through an issue because the Live Well Center in southeastern San Diego, there were a lot of community members that did not want it. But we got together and we created a solution that put more funding in our community for other issues and needs that we had, and also made the design what it is today, bringing community in, but also all of the resources that the Live Well Center already was bringing to the community. So from then on, I understood what type of person that you are, that you lead from your heart, and you use all of your experience to make sure that whatever we can do, it will be done. And so since then, I've always admired you as a person and also your approach to this work. And so it hasn't been long, but I still feel like I will miss that type of guidance. But hopefully you'll be around, because I do have your number. Okay. Congratulations on your next chapter. Thank you, Helen.
Helen, I like to have community coffees, and I am saddened most by your leaving, knowing that you're my constituent and may show up at a community coffee, knowing more about my job than I know about my job. But no, what I really want to say is how much I appreciate how you've lifted people in our communities, how hard you've worked to bring people along, not just our employees, so they can achieve the best work possible, but you focused on all our constituents. And when I first got elected, there was a lot to learn, and I'm still learning. But you always took the time to make sure that we got off on the right foot. And even if that was a kindly word saying, are you sure that's what you want to do? And here are some other things that you could potentially do that may have the same outcome with a better outcome. And that kindly advice, taking the extra time. And the other part is we're all different. We represent different people, different communities. You always took that in consideration to give us a chance to view each other's lens, so that when we come into these board meetings, we're more inclined to work together and not oppose each other. And I think that that is a gift from God, and I hope that you're able to share it with all our employees, because I can't think of anybody being successful on this job unless you have an ability to bring people along and make sure people understand the end goal is best for all of us, that we finish and cross the finish line together, not one ahead of another. So, Helen, thank you so much. Thank you for what you did for me, my office, and most importantly, my constituents.
All right, this is it, the wrap. Finally, it's long goodbye, I think, 9 months, 10 months, something like that. So please indulge me for trying to wrap up 26 years in a few minutes. First of all, thank you, Chairwoman Vargas, for this lovely proclamation, and for sharing your day with me. This is your day. You've just been elected for the second time for the chair of Board of Supervisors, and I leave knowing that this board is in great hands under your leadership as chair. So thank you for that. And to my entire board, what a pleasure it's been. It's been a roller coaster, I'm not going to lie. The ups and the downs over the last 2 years have really my stomach has dropped and it's risen and it's dropped and it's risen, and I have loved every thrilling moment of it, and I do say thrilling. I've learned so much from each of you over the last several years, and I truly believe we've built a solid partnership of trust and respect. Yes, I am the mother of the third floor. I've been called that on more than one occasion, and sometimes Mom has to say no, but she does it lovingly, I hope. I find euphemisms for no. You mentioned a few, and that's been something that you all have appreciated and let me do, so thank you for that. I also want to thank the last board, the one that hired me. They took a chance on me. I didn't have a lot of public sector experience. I'd been in the private sector for 15 years prior to joining the county, and under the tutelage of Walt Eckerd, I got to understand what the board does and what political acumen is and how you stay apolitical in a political environment. And I've worked really, really hard to do that throughout my 26 years. I can't thank them enough for taking a chance on me and for all the wonderful things that they did. They brought the county back from solvency. When you have a solid financial foundation, you're able to do so much, and we've done that. We've been able to strengthen public safety, and we've addressed infrastructure needs. Back then, we brought the agency together under a policy called No Wrong Door, and it's just been a remarkable ride. So I want to acknowledge them and Walt for really making me a tremendous leader, teaching me how to lead and lead with courage, but lead with integrity. Shocking as it may be, and Mike Workman, I'm glad you're sitting down, I actually want to thank the media and the UT and the Voice of San Diego. And I want to include Chris Reed and Jeff McDonald in that. They started my morning every day, usually in a negative way, I'm not going to lie. But it was their critique and their tough questions that really taught me humility. They taught me how to be humble, and they prevented me from becoming complacent. And for that, and for those of you that challenge us every day at every board meeting, yeah, we don't always like it, but that is democracy, and it makes us all better. So thank you for that. I want to also obviously thank my executive team and department heads. They have always had my back, and they've given me everything I could have asked for and far more. They are just an incredible team. I want to thank all of our countless partners. I see some of them out there, Sandy and others. We have worked collaboratively on so many incredible programs and initiatives, and we couldn't do it. The county could not do it without our partners. So I want to acknowledge and thank all of them. Most importantly, I need to thank the employees, all of them. They are the people who do the heavy lifting day in and day out on the front lines. And I know my face was probably on the SEIU dartboard on more than one occasion. Go blue, go blue. Congratulations, Crystal, on the big win last night. On that dartboard more than once. But I do believe we've developed a mutual respect and a solid working relationship for a long time. And Crystal, Dave, Drusilla, Iris, many of you, I just want to tell you how much I've learned from you and how much I appreciate your hard work and what you do for your members, my employees. Even though we may agree to disagree, our hearts are always in the right place, so thank you. The role of the CAO is tough, I'm not going to lie. You have to serve 5 board members. Their needs and priorities may not always be the same. And even when the policies they set that we're trying to follow and implement, the operationalizing of that doesn't always work well for each of them. And so as I mentioned, I have to say no. But I always try to get to yes in any way that we can, and that's what our team does. And that's what we do, I think, pretty well. We can always get better, and we'll keep working at it, but that's what it's all about. It's about that balancing. I call it my 3-legged stool model. You've heard this for anybody that's a county employee, and you've heard one of my speeches. I talk about the fact that, I have a stool that I have to keep balanced, because if one leg topples over, then the whole stool is no longer functional. And the first leg of that stool is the taxpayer, and we always have to remember they're the ones that foot the bill. And the second leg of the stool is our vulnerable constituencies. They're the ones that rely on our services mostly just to survive, but certainly to thrive. And the third leg of that stool is our employees, the ones that get the work done. And so I can't always please all of them at the same time, and I do my best to please them all in a balanced approach. And I think the only way you can do that is with integrity, compassion, and respect. And that's what I've tried to model throughout my career. To close out 26 years, there are three things that you have to ask yourself. One is, did we accomplish things? And I believe the answer to that is yes. Look at San Pasquale Academy and Polinsky and see what we've done for our foster kids. Look at Edgemore and the hundreds of skilled nursing patients who we've cared lovingly for in a beautiful state-of-the-art facility. Look at the 5,000 plus units of affordable housing that we've delivered by leveraging the Innovative Housing Trust Fund. 30 plus new libraries, parks, miles and miles of trails for our families to enjoy. Look at the over 1 million people we serve each year with CalFresh, Medi-Cal, CMS, housing vouchers, emergency medical services, IHSS, and so much more. I'm really proud that we built a solid fiscal foundation with the first of the nation AAA credit rating from all the rating agencies. That's a big deal. I know we don't talk about it a lot, but it is a big deal. And even during COVID and the 2007 and 2008, 2009 into Great Recession, we never laid off a single employee, not one, because of that fiscal stability that we had, that fiscal discipline. So yes, I think we accomplished a lot. The second thing is you have to ask yourself, have I built a strong bench? And I know the answer to that is yes. Sarah Agassi, I'm turning this over to you as of 5 p.m. tonight, or maybe midnight, but whenever it is. They're cutting me off from the network at 5 p.m., so I guess it's 5. You are more than ready. You're an incredible leader. But it's not just you. We have an incredible team: Michael Vu, Claudia Silva, Susan Brazo, Caroline Smith, David Smith, Andrew Strong, Natalia Bravo, Royce, Michael, all of you, Michael Workman, of course, all of the GMs. You are top tier. And behind them, a superstar bench of department heads, assistant department heads, chiefs, and supervisors who are unmatched in their leadership skills and ready to take the county to new heights under this board's direction. So yes, number 2, we have a strong bench. And lastly, you have to ask yourself, is it time to pass the baton? Good leaders have to go when they still want you to stay. Don't wear out your welcome. Don't get tired or stale. Leave it on the field and walk away with a full heart and a smile on your face, knowing you've given it everything you have. And I know for me that time is now. One final important thing I need to say before I sit down for the last time, and that is, I have had the honor of being the first woman to ever hold the position of CAO. More than anything, I hope I have been a role model and mentor to women throughout the county and throughout the region. I'm living proof that you can hold a CEO-level job and do a damn good job at that, while also being a tremendous daughter, wife, sister, mother, and now grandmother. It takes a lot of sacrifice, but you can do it. To Laura and Michelle, who have been the incredible assistants who kept me on time in my meetings and dealt with all my technology faux pas, you are simply the best. And I am saving the best for last. To my loving husband, Steve, who unfortunately is sick and cannot be here today. I didn't take a COVID test, but hopefully he doesn't have COVID. But he has sacrificed far more than I have over the last 37 years of marriage. And to my 4 children and 3 grandchildren who give my life meaning and purpose. I'm coming home to devote the rest of my days to them. You are, my children, my greatest treasures. Goodbye, dear friends, and thank you all for 26 fabulous years. Cheers. I'm good. I got yeah. And Justin, I will always respect you and remember that day that we went out together troubleshooting. I will always care for you, no matter what.
Thank you, Helen. All right. The next proclamation is going to be given by myself and Vice Chair Lawson Reamer, honoring Make-A-Wish San Diego, and accepting the proclamation will be Suzanne Husby. Oh, and a group of folks, come on, please. Yeah, of course. Hello, hello. Oh, wait, here we go. Yay. All right, so today, this is such a wonderful organization. I had so much fun going to visit you the other day, but all right, I'm going to stick to my talking points. So today we honor the 40th anniversary of the Make-A-Wish Foundation for the County of San Diego. Since its founding in 1983 by the visionary Jamie Tucker, this organization has become a local beacon of hope for children facing critical illness. Critical illness can turn a child's world upside down, and Make-A-Wish enjoys steps in as they provide grantors and creators of joy. The wishes granted provide a much-needed break from the challenges these brave children face daily, offering them a chance just to be kids. Since 1983, Make-A-Wish San Diego has granted over 5,000 life-changing wishes for children in San Diego and Imperial counties. And Make-A-Wish San Diego has become a unifying force in our community, bringing together individuals, businesses, and organizations in a shared mission of compassion and support. Our collective efforts can ensure that every child facing a critical illness in San Diego finds strength and joy through the life-changing magic of Make-A-Wish. I'm going to go ahead and turn over to my colleague, and then we'll go ahead and proclaim the day.
Okay. Thank you. I'm excited to celebrate a remarkable milestone, the 40th anniversary of the Make-A-Wish Foundation San Diego. Over the past 4 decades, this organization has delivered hope and compassion to countless children facing severe illnesses. As we reflect on the journey of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, it's impossible not to be moved by the incredible impact it has had on the lives of children. With close to 5,000 wishes turned into reality, the Make-A-Wish Foundation has made magical moments out of the most difficult circumstances. Granting wishes such as Joanne meeting Dolly Parton, Aegis wishing to be an astronaut, and Eden's wish to own a greenhouse, and so many more. We've given these children and their families the opportunities to create a memory of everlasting joy. Today, we honor not just an organization, but a community of compassionate individuals, dedicated volunteers, selfless donors, and a passionate team of professionals who work tirelessly to bring joy to the lives of brave children and their families. Your collective efforts are noticed, and today we are here to recognize all you have done. Congratulations to each and every one of you on a Make-A-Wish Foundation's 40th anniversary. I'll now turn it over to Chairwoman Vargas to present the proclamation.
We do it together. So be it proclaimed by myself and the Vice Chair and the rest of my colleagues today, this 9th day of January, to be commended as Make-A-Wish San Diego for the outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and do hereby declare today Make-A-Wish San Diego Day throughout San Diego County. So exciting. Now I'm into the reading. Congratulations.
My name is Suzanne. I have the honor of serving as CEO of Make-A-Wish San Diego, and I'm pleased to represent our staff and our board. And I want to thank Chairwoman Vargas and the Board of Supervisors for honoring our organization in this way. At Make-A-Wish, our goal is simply to make life better for kids that are dealing with critical illnesses. But we don't do it alone. It takes hundreds of people to make every wish come true. And it's thanks to the love and support of the San Diego community that we've been here for 4 decades and have created life-changing wishes for more than 5,000 local kids. The Make-A-Wish mission has a way of bringing people together, and we believe it represents the best of this community that we're very proud to be part of. So thank you, and here's to the next 40 years.
All right, the next proclamation will be given by Vice Chair Lawson Remer, honoring Father Joe's Villages. Accepting the proclamation will be Jesse and her team, I think.
Thank you, guys. So today, I'd like to recognize Father Joe's Villages and their commitment to delivering recuperative care services to people experiencing homelessness. Recuperative care offers a safe, caring environment after a hospital stay for a person to heal from an illness or injury. Many individuals living on the streets who have been treated in the emergency room do not have a place to go back to afterwards so they can properly heal. Father Joe's Villages Recuperative Care Facility is a place where they can go to get better and receive help finding stable housing. We need more of these facilities. During today's meeting, we will consider a proposal to increase the availability of recuperative care facilities in our region. Having more recuperative care facilities will help more people in need and reduce overcrowding in emergency rooms. I am hopeful my colleagues will agree and support efforts to bring more of these facilities forward. Father Joe's Villages Recuperative Care Program is the type of program we need more of in our region. They provide medical assistance and connect people to essential services like mental health support, substance and alcohol use disorder treatment, and referrals and care management services. Recuperative care is not a temporary solution. It is a crucial stepping stone towards stability and self-sufficiency and empowering individuals to rebuild their lives. So with that, be it proclaimed by me, Chairwoman Vargas, and the entire members of all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors that we commend Father Joe's Villages for their outstanding commitment to providing recuperative care services to the people of San Diego County, and hereby declare the 9th day of January 2024 to be Recuperative Care Day throughout San Diego County.
Good morning. My name is Jessie Casement. I'm the Division Director of Client Services at Father Joe's Villages, and I'm honored to speak on behalf of the recuperative care team, many of them here today. We would like to thank the County of San Diego and Supervisor Lawson Remer for this recognition and honor. Some of our neighbors do not have a home where they can continue healing after leaving a medical facility, making recuperative care an important tool in helping people experiencing homelessness with health issues. Father Joe's Villages Recuperative Care Program bridges that gap between discharge and a full recovery, improving outcomes and reducing hospital readmissions. Our program offers a range of coordinated services and resources, including shelter, case management, meals, and healthcare services to individuals who are exiting a facility but are too sick to go back to the streets. It's through the work of our dedicated staff and the compassion that they bring each and every day that we bring hope and healing to those who may not have had support otherwise. So although the work we do at Father Joe's Villages is making a difference in the lives of those we serve, we know that there are simply not enough care beds as the need continues to grow. So there's a lot more work to do. We're ready to do it. Our CEO, Deacon Jim Vargas, would like for me to extend his gratitude to the board for recognizing the value of recuperative care and the ways in which it can improve the lives of our most vulnerable neighbors. So to the team that does all of the work here and those back at the village right now that are doing the work literally as we speak, thank you for the work that you do, and thank you to the board for this recognition. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. The final proclamation will be given by Supervisor Desmond honoring Human Trafficking Awareness Week. Accepting the proclamation will be Susan Johnson.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. And I want to welcome our special guests today from the Alabaster Jar Project. The co-founders, Susan Johnson and Nate Alcorn, and their leadership team. I want to say thank you all for driving all the way down from North County. Took me an hour this morning, but I really appreciate you being here. But the unfortunate reality here in San Diego County is we are a hotspot for human trafficking, with sex trafficking generating over $800 million annually in San Diego County, victimizing up to 8,000 boys and girls each year. The Alabaster Jar Project assists survivors of sexual exploitation and human trafficking and provides special resources and housing because young survivors are still vulnerable for being trafficked again and again. Their project is comprised of a safe, long-term residential program and a drop-in center that provides programs, clothing, toiletries, and peer group support for those who are trafficked. Last August, I partnered with Chairwoman Nora Vargas and our district attorney, Summer Steffen, on a board letter item addressing an education-focused approach to combat human trafficking in our schools. Education is power, and for human trafficking, it holds a potential to prevent our youth from becoming victims of trafficking. So January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and this Thursday, January 11th, is National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. So also this Thursday, I'm going to be supporting the district attorneys at One Safe Place in San Marcos, where they're going to be hosting a forum on You Can Stop Human Trafficking in San Marcos. This yearly event empowers attendees, including businesses, with the tools to fight human trafficking wherever it might exist. So the County of San Diego is committed to recognizing and honoring those organizations that are dedicated to the best ideals of public service, and the Alabaster Jar Project in Escondido is one such worthy organization. So be it proclaimed by myself and the San Diego County Board of Supervisors that this 9th day of January 2024, we commend the Alabaster Jar Project for educating our community on human trafficking by increasing awareness and providing resources to survivors, and hereby declare the week of January 6th to 12th as Human Trafficking Awareness Week throughout San Diego County. So I want to invite Susan Johnson to come on up here and tell us a little bit about the program. Where are you hiding? There you are. Hi.
Hi, I'm Susan Johnson. I'm one of the co-founders and the current executive director. I, most importantly, am a survivor advocate for survivors of human trafficking. And I have the privilege to provide services to those individuals that have overcome the barriers of being trafficked and exploited. In Escondido, we provide a resource center and several groups, as well as long-term housing. And over the past 10 years, we've had the privilege of being able to help assist 45 survivors with long-term housing and over 400 individuals through resources at our resource center. 70% of our staff are survivors themselves. We believe in peer leadership, and this is our amazing team here. A lot of the people that do the hard work. We have Amanda and Sunny, Nate, Maria and Nancy, and of course we could not do much without your support as well as the county. So we really want to applaud and recognize the County Board of Supervisors, specifically Supervisor Desmond, for making it a priority to educate our community on human trafficking and so that we can help end human trafficking here in San Diego. If you'd like more information on human trafficking, we are hosting a survivor voice and educational event tomorrow evening, 5 to 6:30 online. It's a virtual event, and you can find out more information on our website at alabasterjarproject.org. Thank you so much for this proclamation, and we look forward to turning the needle to make a difference in San Diego County.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Would you guys, anyone else want to speak? No? Great job. If you go get a picture.
We'll do it later. All right, we're now going to proceed with non-agenda public communications. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's agenda. The only action that the board may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. Reminder, according to Rule 4A, members of the public that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will get twice the allotted time for their comments, which is 4 minutes. As a reminder, according to board rules and procedures, audience members should not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. To better facilitate the meeting, we'll have 5 speakers in person, 5 speakers via phone, and the rest of the non-agenda public communication will be heard after the close of today's meeting. Clerk, can you please call the speakers?
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 25 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 13 in person and 12 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As the Chairwoman indicated, we'll be hearing from the first 5 speakers. All the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward Michael Brando, Jana, Gambler, Jocelyn Salaya, and Pam. If I've called your name, please come forward. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. You're welcome to come forward in any order.
Hi, I'm Jana. I'm the founder of the Vaccine Injury Support Group, We Care For You 99. And this past weekend, we had a meeting, a support meeting at Mission Bay, with more to come this month and beyond. At all of these meetings, we have a sign out with our purple logo, which is right here. So there's a sign on the table. I'm trying to address this because we had a few people that came that couldn't find us. So I just wanted this to be clear. And I also wanted to ask people to please email us so that we have your information to keep you posted on the meeting schedule, including in-person Zoom meetings and one-on-one calls. Not everybody can come physically to the meetings. We will also be having support meetings at the Village Restaurant in North Park. Please support this wonderful business that stayed open during the lockdowns. Alondra, the owner and chef, cooks everything with love, and it's very much worth your time to go visit this restaurant. Thank you for your support of We Care For You 99. As we know, not everyone has been negatively affected by vaccinations, but many have. please contact us at wecareforyou99@aol.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, I just wanted to come and introduce myself to you. My name is Jocelyn Salaya. I'm a U.S. envoy for the Department of State, and I was recently, my name was submitted to be considered for a proclamation for the policy framework that I wrote for counties and cities to receive funding from the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan. And that American Rescue Plan is still in effect today, so I just wanted to say hello and to say it's an honor to meet all of you in person. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Pam, anybody surprised that mask mandates are coming back to health facilities? You're probably not surprised. Anyway, study after study has shown masks are ineffective in preventing the spread of respiratory viral illness. Studies show masks, including N95, medical grade, and several cotton masks, release chemicals that are 8 times the recommended safety limit of toxic, volatile, organic compounds. Inhaling these compounds has been linked to health issues like headaches and nausea, while prolonged repeated use has been linked to seizures, organ damage, and even cancer. The government is bombarding the people in this country with ugliness because it hates the people. The government wants people to be fearful and look to the government for saving. This is not about a virus or an illness. This is about freedom. The truer something is, the more beautiful. And the beautiful things are made by God and are free, not enclosed, and not covered up. The most beautiful thing made by God is the human race, especially the human face. But the government makes the environment ugly to hurt and scare the people. Fear is such a potent weapon against freedom. There must always be freedom of choice and the right to not consent.
Next speaker, please.
Michael, comments following 2 cinema references.
That was her sister, the Wicked Witch of the East. This is the Wicked Witch of the West. She's worse than the other one was.
Well, my little pretty, I can cause accidents too. Give them back to me, or I'll... Give them back to me. Give them back.
Keep tight inside of them. Their magic must be very powerful, or she wouldn't want them so badly.
You stay out of this, or I'll fix you as well.
Oh, rubbish. You have no power here. Be gone before somebody drops a house on you too.
Be gone before someone drops a house on you. That's pretty self-explanatory, considering how some self-implosion is going to be happening this year. You know, that was from The Wizard of Oz. I want to recommend a movie for you, Helen, well, really for all of you. It's online now. Jeff and Kara invited me over to their home the other night, and I got to watch this film called The Jones Plantation. Michael, The Jones Plantation. Eric, Nora. TheJonesPlantation.com. If you go there, there's so many messages in this film that speak to what's happening, that speak to what actually you're involved in and what you have been involved in, Helen. And it's pretty shocking and can cause cognitive dissonance when first being exposed to these truths. But the thing is, I've said before, we're in an era, ERA, where this is inevitable, where this change is coming, and no amount of narcissistic attempts to control other people is going to work. And you want to be on the right side. You really do, I assure you.
Next speaker, please.
Sorry, give me a second. The name's Gambler, AKA Justin. I'm torn. I really am, because I know you know how much elections mean to me. And for the fact that when I got enough guts to go to your office to talk to you about it, I was turned away by these guys. I know you have a big heart. I respect you immensely. At the same time, I'm beyond angry. And I'm torn between the two. Now, decisions have been made. We are going to have a new CAO. And I hope that the new CAO addresses the issues that I have, because I do care about elections. I dedicated my life to it, just not to have an explanation, not to be able to say my point of view, not to be able to say anything. Turned away, escorted out of the premises in handcuffs, just for waiting for an answer. Didn't say anything. Nothing at all. So I'm torn, because I do respect and care and love you. At the same time, I'm beyond pissed. And I hope you understand that. And I'm sorry for what I said earlier. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'll remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Barbara Gordon. We hear every day that driving under the influence of psychoactive substances is an important public health risk, impacting the lives of millions of Americans. Recent released data from 2020-2021 National Survey on Drug Use and Health provides evidence that focuses specifically on younger and underage drivers that correlate DUI of marijuana and alcohol among drivers ages 16 to 20 in the U.S. The prevalence of DUI alcohol was 6.1% among youth who reported past year alcohol consumption. But the majority reporting DUI with alcohol also reported DUI with marijuana. The report shows that the prevalence of DUI with marijuana was 24.5%. This report indicates that DUI was more likely to be under the influence of marijuana than alcohol. The report concludes that more than 1 million young drivers each year are placing their lives and those of the public at risk by operating motor vehicles after consuming marijuana and or alcohol. These findings underscore the importance of prevention efforts needed to target underage marijuana and alcohol impaired drivers. Looking at the data, it is concerning as the pot industry wants to increase their presence in our community, even knowing the harm and the influences of marijuana they have on our young people. These businesses are about big money, and our young people are the target. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Chair Vargas. My name is Terry Ann Skelly, and I'm a parent of 3 adult sons, and I've worked on behalf of young adults to safeguard their passage to productive adulthood. I also advocate for good health policies in land use decisions throughout the county. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you today about a study commissioned by the National Institute of Drug Abuse, NIDA. The study contributes to our understanding of a mental health disorder known as schizophrenia. The study was recently published in the Journal of Psychological Medicine. The authors emphasize that cannabis use disorders appears to be a major modifiable risk factor for schizophrenia, particularly among young men. This study also adds to the existing evidence that schizophrenia cases are increasing, and that increase may be attributed to an increased number of cannabis use disorders diagnosis, especially in males aged 16 to 30. And an increased number of cannabis use disorders is likely linked to the higher potency of cannabis products. Information about the potential dangers and harms of cannabis, especially among vulnerable populations like young adults and pregnant women, is inadequate, especially amid the storm of pro-cannabis marketing from that industry. There is an important suggestion that could limit the storm of pro-cannabis. It would be the County of San Diego could not allow big marijuana to increase its footprint in our neighborhoods. Thank you for hearing my concern this morning.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. My name is Peggy Walker. I came to ask that item 2 on tomorrow's consent calendar regarding marijuana commercialization be pulled because it deserves public input. It's the height of hypocrisy and misrepresentation to suggest this is in the interest of, quote, public health and safety, to fund a program that promotes the manufacture and sale of highly addictive products engineered to outrageous THC levels so far beyond natural it's a misnomer to call them marijuana, is not in the interest of a public that doesn't want it. It's not in public interest to promote addictive products that mimic snacks and candies purposely designed to attract children, sending them to ERs in droves, or to package them as drug delivery vape products, putting teens and young adults at risk of IQ loss, lung disease, cancer, and dying from strokes or heart attack at a younger age. The public should know this consent item is nothing more than a politically motivated ploy to override citizens' choice and serve the industry. It defies reason and science to accept funds as a payoff to promote products known to cause mental health problems, including addiction, psychosis, and schizophrenia, too often leading to suicide and violence. These grant funds are nothing more than a bribe to benefit the pot industry at the cost of public health, not to serve it. The public deserves to speak to this item. Thank you.
Thank you. From the next caller.
Good morning, Chair Vargas and Supervisors. My name is Becky Rapp, and I come here today to share with you an article titled, "Edibles Are Too Often Eaten by Children," recently published in the Wall Street Journal. Dr. Shaw, who works in a pediatric emergency room, describes her experience with young children coming in sleepy, confused, or even unresponsive after they unintentionally ingested marijuana-infused edibles they thought were candy. She goes on to say that as THC products become more available and potent, it's imperative that we protect children from accidental poisoning. She goes on to say, I quote, "We need legislation that restricts copycat packaging, requires child-resistant packaging that complies with Poison Prevention Packaging Act, and limits the quantity of THC in each serving size," end quote. Our District Attorney, Summer Steffen, has taken a strong position recently in educating and enforcing against the sale of products such as flavored tobacco that mimic popular flavors and candies that are attractive to children. As a parent, I thank her for this and ask that you take an equally strong position protecting our children against flavored marijuana products, from vapes to edibles. Parents must know and understand how young people can be exposed to these products. Please ask for a formal presentation from local emergency room doctors who know firsthand the negative impact these products are having on our children and residents right here in San Diego County. The numbers are staggering, and no child should have to suffer short or long-term consequences. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the final caller this morning.
Kevin Stevenson. First, I'd like to ask a question. Isn't it interesting how anyone who claims that, quote, studies say that masks are ineffective are too chicken shit to quote those studies or to cite them? Notice how those same individuals will then go on about how God is absolute and God's law says this. You know, despite the fact that there is no evidence of a higher being at all. If you believe in one, that's fine. But, I mean, if we're talking about objective reality, masks work, vaccines work, et cetera, et cetera. Also, I do find it very, very rich how these same individuals will then take out of context clip compilations of Nora Vargas arguing with right-wing hacks like Rebecca Jones and Bill Wells and make her out to be so irrational. You know, because she dared to push back on the type of people that wish that Sandag operated like the U.S. Senate in that minority rules overall, because they're upset about, what's it called, the weighted vote, where the city of San Diego gets more votes than the smaller cities. Like, that's, sorry guys, San Diego has a bigger population than El Cajon or Imperial Beach or Santee or Oceanside. That's just the way it is. So you can keep whining that San Diego County is controlled by Democrats, but you guys, you're just unpopular. Your right-wing agenda is not resonating with the majority of voters. I know you guys are very loud.
Thank you. Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. Again, all the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Thank you. With that, the next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes, statement, and proceedings for the regular meeting of December 5th, 2023, and the special meeting of December 12th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, fantastic. The next item on the agenda is our consent calendar. We're going to proceed with the formation of our consent calendar, items 3 to 10, 16, and SR1. Members of the public will be able to comment on the consent calendar after each of the supervisors pull items they would like for discussion. Supervisor Anderson?
I'd like to pull item 4, please.
4. All right, Supervisor, Vice Chair Lawson-Weaver?
No items to pull, thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Montgomery-Stepp?
No items pulled.
Okay. Supervisor Desmond?
No items to pull, but I would like to make a comment on item 5.
Okay.
This one is advocating for detention facility needs in county legislative program. I'd like to thank, and she's here today, our Sheriff, Kelly Martinez, for partnering on this effort. As we look to the future of a new detention facility in Vista, I think throughout the county, it's clear that we need additional resources to meet the needs of the inmates and the community. Many of the inmates in the detention facilities will hopefully be re-entering society, but it's in the best interest, I think, of the inmates and more importantly the community that the inmates receive the services necessary for rehabilitation, including robust medical assisted treatment programs paired with mental health services. While we do currently offer those types of services in our detention facilities, the need is definitely outweighing our resources now. The item directs staff to pursue state and federal resources to support the medical and mental health needs of our inmate population, and I'm hopeful that additional resources will be identified so that those reentering our communities receive the support they need while they're in jail and also once they're out in society for their mental health services and needs. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
All right, I'm happy to second. The items that I wanted just to address was item number 5. I wanted to say thank you again to Supervisor Desmond and Chair Martinez for bringing this item forward. We've seen a lot of challenges firsthand, and we've spoken to a lot of the sheriff deputies that work out on our county jails who share the need for improvement in our county facilities. Most recently, we had an unfortunate death recently, and by updating our legislative program to pursue state and federal resources, we can improve our jail facilities to ensure that everyone in our county jails have the medical and mental health care needs available. I think if it's appropriate, I'm going to ask the sheriff to come up now, and then we'll continue. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Sheriff?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good morning, Supervisors. Thank you to Supervisor Desmond for bringing this item forward, and thank you to the entire board for making improvements to our jail system a priority. Item 5 represents a continued step towards progress in my department's commitment to improving our jail facilities to ensure the comprehensive care and services our staff and the individuals in the detention setting need. Today's board action reinforces not only mine and Supervisor Desmond's commitment, but the entire board's commitment in elevating the level of care to those in the custodial settings in San Diego County. By incorporating detention services in the county's legislative program priorities, we stand committed to seeking and pursuing state and federal resources to support our infrastructure needs. These improvements will ensure proper medical and mental health care, delivery, reentry programming, and other support to incarcerated individuals. Additional resources will provide more coordinated medical and mental health care services delivery with a person-centered approach, to rehabilitate individuals, as well as provide equitable access for family members and collaborative spaces for criminal justice and community-based partners. It is only with the financial investment in modern infrastructure that the Sheriff's Department will be able to provide enhanced care and resources to the individuals in our custody. Thank you so much for your continued support.
All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Before we begin public comment, I would like to note that the consent calendar includes item 16. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, prior to taking final action, the legislative body shall orally report a summary of a recommendation for a final action on the salary or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits of local agency executives. Agenda item 16 on the consent calendar includes a temporary 10% increase to the base salary of the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, Sarah Agassi, while assigned as the Acting Chief Administrative Officer. The temporary compensation will increase the base salary to $355,721.60 per year. With that note, on the record, this item may remain on consent. The consent calendar also includes redevelopment successor agency item 1. With that, we have a total of 12 requests to speak on the remaining items on the consent calendar, 5 in person and 7 requesting to speak by phone. As a reminder, item 4 has been pulled from the consent calendar for discussion. Any members of the public that requested to speak to item 4, please hold your comments until the board discusses that item. We'll have public comment on that item separately. Any members of the public that requested to speak on the consent calendar items by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. All the speakers are in opposition. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall. I'd like to invite forward Michael Brando, Gambler, Audra, Consuelo, and Paul the Bold. If I've called your name, please come forward. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. And please identify which item on the consent calendar you are speaking on.
Okay. Paul Bold. I think that Sarah Agassi would make an excellent successor to Helen. As well as the head of the Land Use and Environmental Group, she has handled county strategy and intergovernmental affairs, is an attorney, and has good business experience. From what I've seen, she's responsive to people like me, and she's even-tempered. And in this time of huge state and federal budget deficits, I'm sure she won't support the waste of money on independent investigations, but depend on a well-qualified staff and emphasize help for those who need it, not of a certain race, gender, or zip code. Helen, I wish you fair winds and following seas. Appointments, other appointments, they should be up for public discussion, not competing for time with 10 other items on consent. Many governmentals continue to limit our free speech and cut down our speaking time. When we can express ourselves, the dialogue is often slanted like check boxes that are pre-selected. You can no longer treat us like children. People are fighting back against us. People call for independent investigations into boards that have lost the confidence of the people or who spend their time to come here and offer their advice and propose solutions, even though you rarely even acknowledge or discuss them. There are people who are so frustrated that they are entirely critical of government. I wonder why. You should listen, be patient with us, and be honored to have all our free advice. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Well, no, I didn't start yet. Name Gambler here. Well, I'm glad number 16 was added to the agenda because I have no intention of getting kicked out before issue number 15, which directly targets me. I don't know. I'm sorry. This is the last chance I get to talk to you, and I honestly have nothing to say to you. I wish you guys would have chose him. Not because I want him to be the next CAO. I wanted him to be held responsible for changing all of California to a vote-by-mail election. It is clearly obvious that our elected officials do not care about what we have to say because look at Reamer over there. They cannot even look at the people that she serves because she thinks the people serve her.
Justin, can you please identify which items on the consent calendar you're speaking on?
16. As I said in the very beginning, if you were actually listening to a word I had to say. But apparently you aren't, and this is just another example of that. Now I'm at crossroads right now whether or not I choose to continue this fight or I walk away. I had a conversation with one of the greatest division chiefs I've ever had, and anyone who has ever worked under that woman would contest the same thing. She understands that nothing's going to stop me in whatever choice I make. But she gave me choices, and I thank her for that. I'm going to look into it. But the reason why I came every single time and point out these things is to hold you to the fire.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaking on. Yeah, I just wanted to, Consuelo, I just wanted to just remind the people that it doesn't really matter who is going to be the next CAO because we all, at this point, especially the ones paying close attention, know who in fact you people work for, and it's not for the people. Because when things work in our county specifically, they become defunded, programs become defunded. because they have like 100%, track record, a good outcome. And also just the fact that, listening in on the San Diego City Council meeting, you're lucky you get to retire and have everything you do, because there's a woman who worked her whole life being a nurse, and she's on every single government program out there, and she's getting evicted from her home. And this is government. This is the American dream. You will own nothing, and they will make sure they will do everything they can for that to be. So people really do need to pay attention. They want us divided. Kevin Stevenson, they want the people, that's how this works. That's how what they are doing works. And until the people realize they're going to do everything to create the chaos and have it so out of control that when the time comes, people will be begging for order, and the government order, not our order. So they're doing, everything is on purpose. You go downtown, there's no progress. You go to Chula, every city you visit, and I frequent the county, I get to pay attention. I get to see, I get to think. I'm not stressed and bombarded with having to clock in somewhere, because this is where I clock in. I do this for my kids and the future generation.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Michael, I'm going to address the equity statements. The equity statements on several of the consent calendar items. Number 4 says, San Diego Seniors Community Foundation reported seniors, quote, struggle to make ends meet, unquote. Now, that seems like, oh, that's sad and we've got to do something. But what's behind that is all the machinations of the monetary system and all of that, and all of these ARPA nonsense funds and everything that's actually hurting people. So when we talk about equity in a statement like this, it makes it sound so good, but you're not educating people about what's really going on. And I know that's not what your role is, per your handlers. Number 5, the equity statement says, Sheriff's Department prioritizes providing quality mental health care and health care for everyone in their custody. Well, that's interesting because, again, we're talking about equity, and yet the Sheriff's Department is under you, and all of their funds come from you, and you are the ones that push the bioweapon serum injections, masquerading as a vaccine. So how is that equity? How is that equity in this statement, number 5? Number 6 says to have a positive impact on Black, Indigenous, people of color, BIPOC, that's a horrible word. It's like, I've got a case of BIPOC, I'm sick. It's an awful word. Disabled, immigrants, LGBTQ. Again, it's this misuse of language to confuse people, to make it seem like you are concerned about equity and you care, and the fact is, we know you don't.
Next speaker, please.
That is so true. My person uses the name Audra. So, yeah, it's such an illusion. Just all this, choices and whatnot. And it's like we're all sitting in a prison cell with the door open and, well, I'm not, and many of us here aren't, but many people are begging the government for help when they could just walk out and not rely on them. But Sarah, are you stoked to get 10% raise? That's exciting, to spend all the money in the county. I'm hoping that you don't sell your soul to do it, because I actually think you seem like a good person every time I've been in contact with you. But it also, this job tends to get to people's head, as we can see Nora. And with you being in charge of all that money, I just hope that you can do it from a good place and just from really caring about the county and not trying to destroy it, because we care about the county and that's why we come here. And we voice our concerns because we actually have a stake in this, and that's our job, is to come and do that. And I get arrested for it. or I get beat up in the hallway for it. And Helen was one of the ones who was telling them to arrest me. So you may be in that position again. And I just would hope that you would make the right choice and know that usurping people's rights should be the last thing on your mind. And it should actually really be about making things better here, because it doesn't matter how much money you've spent, Helen, the billions and billions of dollars, the county is falling apart day by day. And we actually care, and we don't get paid to come here. Like I said, I mean, I'm still suffering consequences of speaking at this podium. And I had other things to say, but I feel like that was obviously what the Lord wanted me to say. So I just hope that you really do look within and show us from.
We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. Remind the callers, they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Cynthia.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I need to speak to all of you people on the Board of Supervisors. There's nothing about any of your agendas, although I think all the speakers today have been more than correct, because you guys just don't listen. You don't care. And Ms. Vargas, you guys hire people for access, 211. And because your employees lie to me, I've lost my EBT, and instead of being able to recertify, because no one sent me my packet, because I, for one, lived in a motel for 9 months, being one of the people who lost my HUD apartment, your employees told me, we'll email you your certificate so that you can mail it back in. Never did. So I have been on the phone being hung up on left and right by your access employees, being told, okay, we'll sit here with submit EBT. Okay, we'll do this. Okay, we'll leave a voicemail and they'll call you back. Not getting any calls. So the minus $300 I normally get that my mother, who's a senior citizen, and myself, who's partially disabled, really need, I'm now told, oh, you don't qualify for expedited EBT. You have to wait 10 days. Well, by the time that 10 days is up, if I'm lucky, I might get something. Yesterday alone, I was on the phone for 4 hours on hold. 2 of those hours after the fact, I got hung up on by a young lady who told me, you're in the wrong department, even though I wasn't. I'm trying to call each one of your guys is on the board's phone to your offices, because you're supposed to be in charge of access. And I've been told by each and every one of your employees.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Truth. Item 3, over $438,000 for fingerprint experts. But if the state demands everyone's prints in order to get an ID or license, does that make us all offenders? Item 5, Kelly needs to finally agree to body scanners for all entrants to the jails, including the deputies, because her excuse that it's too much radiation for the deputies, but just right for everyone else, is not very equitable legislative politicking. But Joel, thank you for your previous explanation about jail medical staff requiring deputies for inmate health responses. I'd still like someone to explain how tech is going to solve staffing issues. Item 9, yes to Corbin Sabal to the Hamul Zura Community Planning Group, and yes to firefighter Paul Lotz, the Cuyamaca Rec and Parks District. No to Jim Hammerly on the Palomar Mountain Community Sponsor Group. He went to Extremist Berkeley and MIT and is deep in the climate cult. No to La Rosa Watson and Zohir Chaudhary to the Environmental Health Advisory Board. Zohir also went to Extremist Berkeley, is a member of the American Association of Aerosol Research, and believes in the global warming myth. He was also involved in a 2005 study in Yunnan, China, with a report that said, quote, health and education may offer effective vehicles for disseminating health messages and affecting changes in behaviors related to household energy, end quote. Kind of sandbagish. No to Jason Navarez, the Human Relations Commission. He went to supposedly devastated Israel and listened to a teacher who said Palestinians are on the spear of Israel. Jason's only being added to combat George Corey's remarks about indigenous Palestinians being, quote, ethnically cleansed, massacred, and expelled by force by the Zionists in 1948, end quote. And everyone learned from this item sustainability statement, quote, advisory boards are a conduit to the county bureaucracy and a broker community voice, end quote. And item 16, Chair has finally got something to legitimately smile about. An over $355,000 pay raise to be the temporary CAO is nuts. This whole consent is out of context, Kevin.
Thank you. That concludes the request for public comment on this item on the consent calendar.
Thank you. Before we go ahead and we have a motion and a second, I do want to say on item number 16 that I'm really excited to support Sarah Gassi as the acting CAO for the County of San Diego. And, since I think 2010, Sarah has served as the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, General Manager for the County of San Diego Land Use Environmental Group and has been leading extraordinary work. So I want to make sure that we highlight that work because she is a visionary, a compassionate leader who has been guided by her commitment to equitable service and passion for achieving the county's vision for just and sustainable and resilient future for all. She's someone who leads with integrity, character, and a steadfast focus on doing the right thing for our communities. And so with over 20 years of programming, we had an extensive selection process. And so I am excited to see Sarah in this role. And I will be doing a report out at the end of the board meeting about the next steps of the CAO, just to make sure that we give everybody an update. But with that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and take item number 4 because it's the item that we pull right now. So it's the approve a pilot shared housing for older adults program to prevent homelessness among older adults. I'm going to ask, I know that the team is going to do a presentation. So what we'll do is we'll do the presentation. Go ahead.
Thank you and good morning, Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board. We are presenting to you today a 2-year pilot program that aims to create 50 housemate matches between individuals with a spare bedroom and low and moderate income adults ages 55 and older. The initiative supports the reduction of housing costs and aging in place for older adults in San Diego County. This program is a result of your board's direction on August 29, 2023 to address growing homelessness amongst our region's older adults by having staff bring back a program design, implementation plan, and evaluation framework for an older adult shared housing pilot program. Today's Shared Housing for Older Adults program was developed by the agency's Housing and Community Development Services, or HCDS. This team researched a number of shared housing models and studies across the state and nation, as well as collaborated with other subject matter experts at the agency's Department of Homeless Solutions and Equitable Communities, Aging and Independent Services, and the county's Office of Evaluation, Performance, and Analytics. This pilot program aligns with both the Framework for Ending Homelessness and the county's Aging Roadmap. The Framework for Ending Homelessness is a strategic and data-driven approach to homeless solution efforts adopted by the board in November of 2021. The framework identifies 5 key strategic domains to ending homelessness. Today's action supports the diversion and mitigation, as well as permanent housing and support strategic domains by providing older adults access to affordable housing. It aims to accomplish this through leveraging existing housing resources to create additional opportunities to house individuals and provide mediation and other services to help them stay housed. The Aging Roadmap serves as a guide for the future of aging in San Diego County. Led by the agency's Aging and Independent Services, the roadmap was developed with robust involvement from stakeholders in the community who identified 10 priority areas for older adults, including housing. The vision for the housing area is for older adults to live in safe and affordable housing that is located near goods, services, and activities, all of which allows them to age in their community. This will also support the upcoming County of San Diego Housing Blueprint. With me here today to present are David Estrella, Director, and Kelly Sammons, Deputy Director of Housing, Community, and Development Services. David?
Thank you, Dr. McDonald. Good morning. With rising rents and the impacts of inflation, it may be difficult for some older adults on a limited or fixed income to afford to stay in their homes. The 2023 point-in-time count revealed the number of older adults aged 55 and older experiencing homelessness increased by 29% from the previous year. The Shared Housing for Older Adults program aims to establish a stable house-sharing option for older adults to prevent homelessness, reduce the burden of housing costs, support aging in place, and offer a means of companionship for the region's older adults. This program will match older adults aged 55 years or older who are looking for housing, otherwise known as home seekers, with appropriate homeowners or renters with an extra bedroom, referred to as home providers. I will now turn it over to Kelly Salmons to provide more details on the program design. Kelly?
Thank you, David. As Dr. McDonald mentioned, this pilot program would be a contracted service that would run for 2 years and serve region-wide. The contractor will be responsible for outreach, screening, assessments, matching, check-ins, and mediation. We anticipate that this program will create approximately 50 successful housemate matches. And with the assistance of the county's Office of Evaluation and Performance Analytics, there will be an evaluation component. The cost of the program is approximately $311,000, including staff time, program administration, and evaluation. Based on research, we've selected a model for this program that focuses on matching someone with a spare private bedroom with an older adult housemate. Individuals interested in participating in this program will be screened for eligibility based on a number of criteria. To highlight a few of those criteria, all program participants will have to be able to pass a criminal background check. They also must be able to take care of themselves independently and be able to advocate for themselves. This is to ensure that both are self-sufficient and reduce any risk of vulnerabilities. For the home provider, their home must be in San Diego County and may be rented or owned. The home must be in good standing with utilities, mortgage or rent payments, and property taxes. The home seeker must be 55 years or older and earn no more than 120% of the area median income. Once entered into the program, participants will need to complete a comprehensive assessment. These assessments will gauge their goals, preferences, and lifestyles to help pair them with potential matches. Participants will have a choice when it comes to agreeing to a match. If they do agree, a housing agreement or lease that outlines the terms of the shared housing arrangement will be created for them. Part of this agreement will include a rent agreement, and the program administrator will support in ensuring that the rent is set at an affordable price, no more than 30% of the home seeker's monthly income. In some cases, a service exchange model might be appropriate, in which a home seeker supports household duties such as gardening or cleaning for a reduced rent. To support the longevity and health of these housemate situations, matches will receive at least an annual check-in, and more often if necessary. These check-ins provide an opportunity to provide mediation services or referrals to supportive services as necessary. Our partners at the Office of Evaluation, Performance, and Analytics, or OEPA, created an evaluation framework for this pilot program that includes a logic model, anticipated short and medium-term results, programmatic output and outcome metrics that will be collected and tracked over time, and specific plans for evaluating the program's effectiveness have been developed. The evaluation will utilize survey and focus groups in a mixed method design to evaluate short and medium-term results for programmatic participants. Today's item requests your board to approve the pilot shared housing program for older adults program and authorize the agency director to pursue future funding opportunities related to the long-term sustainability of the program. This concludes our presentation, and we're available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chairwoman. We'll now proceed with public comment on this item. We have 16 requests to speak, 10 in person, 6 requesting to speak by phone. Also note that we received 3 e-comments, 2 of those in opposition. Any members of the public that requested to speak on item 4 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, starting with those in favor of this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward Ellen Nash, Rachel Hayes, Natalie Raschke, Julie Porter, and John Brady. If I've called your name, please come forward. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Hello, my name is Ellen Nash, and I'm honored to be here today, and all of the wonderful board supervisors, and particularly my supervisor, newly elected Attorney Monica Montgomery Stepp. I'm here in support of this program. On behalf, I serve as chair of the San Diego chapter of BAPAC, Black American Policy Association Foundation, and we've experienced dealing with seniors, particularly in our virtual Quality of Life Resource Center. And when this program, this opportunity came on the agenda today, I had to speak to it. It is important that we address our seniors, particularly those in two categories I want you to pay attention to, particularly those who are being discharged from the hospitals to the streets, and secondly, those that have been living in their cars for at least 2 or 3 years. These are the individuals that we are dealing with, and a temporary pilot program, shared housing program, is a great solution to address getting them off the streets and into some temporary housing. We've worked with county leadership, some are in the room today, and one of the challenges that we're gonna have is, at least in my community, is shared housing is not an easy lift. It's a heavy lift, convincing seniors, particularly to share space with other seniors. But I don't want that to be a barrier. I just want to bring that to your attention, that that is going to be a challenge. One of the solutions I would suggest is that you have culturally competent caseworkers who are intervening. I have a 91-year-old mother, so when I'm dealing with seniors, even though there were few, and convincing them that these are appropriate opportunities other than living on the streets or living in their cars.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, please. Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, I'm Rachel Hayes, and I approve of this program because I lived on the streets for over 10 years, and I've seen the number of seniors grow in astronomical numbers, and shared housing will work as long as you have two people that are compatible. That's the most important thing. If they're compatible, it will work. I know a lot of people 55 and older that are out there still to this day, and they will die on our streets because of the cold, and they do not have the help or the shelters to meet their needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Good to see you here, Monica. John Brady, Lived Experience Advisors. We're here today to support this measure, among other measures. We have got a crisis on our streets, and unfortunately the fastest growing group of people on our streets, our seniors, are people over 55. Once you become chronically homeless, and that means you're homeless for more than a year, with a disabling condition, which is about 95% of the folks on our street, you lose on average 17 years of your life. That's it. That's the statistic. The more you spend there, more time you spend there, the faster you're going to die, the more the accumulated issues around mental health continue to build and build and build until we get a person to the point where they're maybe a candidate for care court. A lot of issues with how care court's being implemented, and we're working with your teams to make sure that it gets better. But ultimately, we are in a housing crisis. Anybody that says this is about addiction, anybody that says this is about mental health, that is not what this is about. We have not built adequate housing for decades in the entire nation. We are short millions of units of housing, and that's why the cost of housing is going up. Supply, demand. We need a Marshall Plan to solve our housing crisis, but until then, this is a great step forward, and thank you for making it happen.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Natalie Rashke. I'm with Lived Experience Advisors. My family and I lived on the streets for 2.5 years, and the majority of our circle of family, when you're homeless, you make your own circle of people, were 50 and older. Now, I believe that this would be beneficial to some people having that opportunity to get themselves a home to start or room to start and move up from there. Some of the requirements that are going with this pilot, as in working for cleaning to lessen the rent, some of them are dealing with issues, so certain requirements to give that an incentive seems a little bit, I don't know, maybe changing the way the requirements are or what the incentives are might be a little bit better. But I do know that I have one of my closest friends is out on the streets, and she's 50, and she would, take the opportunity to be anywhere except for scared sleeping in her car. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the speakers in opposition: Paul the Bold, Gambler, Consuelo, Michael Brando, and Audra.
Good morning. Thank you very much for hearing me. My name's Julie Porter, and I'm with Lived Experience Advisors. Sorry, I got a little hoarse at the churn for the Wolverines last night. I turned 60 when I was on the streets. Luckily, I did get housing, and it was housing first, and it should be housing first. And I agree that we have a housing crisis more than a homeless crisis. We need more space for older adults, seniors, if you will. And again, I think some of the requirements might be hard to meet. It's hard for me to meet. I'm 66 now, and I do deal with chronic pain, and sometimes my dishes will sit there. So housing first, I do approve of this, and I think we're going forward, and I thank you very much for hearing me today.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, Paul the Bold. Speak of older people, I wish you'd provide a referral to Cynthia, who called in. The taxpayers for this pilot program, the taxpayers would be paying about $296,000 to match up about 50 seniors, about $6,000 per month. Aren't there cheaper methods, like face-to-face or internet dating services? I also see the presentation mentioned how it aligns with all these wonderful goals, but it's still a waste of money. If the goal is to make less people homeless, why match up these seniors to just other seniors? If a senior finds a non-senior who's compatible and they move in together, won't that reduce homelessness? So why put a bunch of red tape in the way? And the program is for 2 years. Odds are that the seniors will find a match by then first without the pilot program. It's a waste of money, as I said, and I don't think you should trust HHSA with it. It sounds like just more bureaucracy, which is basically their game. You know, as for people who have mentioned housing, I mean, Mark and I have both suggested you do 3D housing, and there are other alternatives for cheaper housing, so I suggest you do them. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Gambler here. Item number 4. Let's go ahead and throw young people with old people and see how that works. I wonder if this experiment has been done before. I think during COVID, when we had all these nursing facilities and we needed to find beds for people, we ended up doing something similar to that. How did that go? Did the young 20-year-old dude beat the ever-living hell out of the senior citizen? which ended up committing suicide a few days, from just not eating after that moment? Did that happen? Yeah, you guys want to run right into this without looking at the possible deadly consequences for your actions. All you're anxious about is how to get money to these activist organizations. And to me, that's appalling. That you guys would all be a part of that. A, you don't pay attention to what the hell is happening in this world, and you're dead set on meeting the expectations of the activists that got you elected, which they're more than happy to tell you all the time. It's disgusting to me how you guys sit here, how you're laughing about a homeless situation in here. I know you weren't laughing about that. You were laughing about something on your phone, Reamer. But it's disgusting. The fact that you can't even look up when someone is talking to you and acknowledge the fact that they're here. No, because you feel that we serve you, not the other way around. And that's fucking ridiculous. I'm at crossroads right now, and you really don't want me to go down this path. I'm just letting you know that. Ask Nicole.
Next speaker, please.
Okay. Consuelo, so let's just stop this charade. Homelessness will never end. Why? Because it's lucrative. And government is not in the business of fixing anything. They're only about controlling everything. What causes homelessness in the first place? Government policies. They create the problems to appear as the heroes to keep the people under control. They aim to have us all be dependent on them. They purposely make it difficult for its hardworking citizens. These people are juggling 2, 3, even 4 jobs at a time to barely be able to get by. No one is fully living. Most are just surviving and far from thriving. It's common for people to have more than one roommate due to the inflation. A 400 square foot closet will cost a person easily over $2,500. These days, people are being penalized just for being poor. This is how government works. As I mentioned earlier, when there are programs that work, government defunds them. Government works, but not for the betterment of the people. They never will. No matter how many solutions they're given by the people, reminder, all roads lead to the, hold on, shoot. Council on Foreign Relations. Not just the UN, not just the World Bank, not just the Trilateral Commission, Bilderberg, Washington. Yeah, we better wake up because our species is not winning and the bad people on the planet are. And it's beyond time to take it to the streets.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Yes, the Luciferians are in charge. That's right. Oh my goodness. My person uses the name Audra, so it's so weird to think that I'm going to be a senior soon. Just with the way that we are, changing definitions of what something is. It's like, I would have thought it would be Jim, but like these days, I'm about to be a senior. So, maybe I'll be able to get some free housing. And Jim, I'm a little concerned about you. You don't look so healthy. I'm sorry, but you don't. And hopefully everything is okay, especially after getting that jab. Anywho, so it's like just funny too to think about, friends can't even go on like a vacation on a drive or something like that without arguing. And we think that we're going to be putting some senior, which when I think about that, I'm thinking of some like actual geriatric patient, not just somebody who is homeless, but this is all by design. It's all to put money into the pockets for staffing and stuff like that. $96,000 is going to staff. and only 200,000 is going to implement this for 50 people. And just the fact that you think that you're going to put these people in a home together and it's going to be good. And like Justin was saying, I mean, if we've already had a death from something like this, is it smart to do this? I mean, do you guys want to be paired up and put in a home with someone? Jim, you want a roommate? We could, you don't want to be my roommate? Oh my gosh. Oh my God, I'm so offended. That is just so rude. But you guys love to collect your data and metrics and all this and like pretend like we're going to actually help something. This is very disturbing that this is actually going to take place. And it probably won't. I'm sure this will just, you know, since it's a pilot, it'll kind of pretend to go and fly around like Jim does. But you know, I don't know. It's just very disturbing that we have our hands in all of this kind of stuff, thinking that we're going to make things better. It seems like a big old waste of money, which is usually what happens, but all by design. And yeah, good luck in this, because I look forward to sharing the truth to the people.
Thank you. Final call from Michael Brando. Not seeing any movement in the chamber. We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. Again, when it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'll remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Hi, my name is Levi Giafleoni with Lived Experience Advisors. I experienced homelessness myself for approximately 6 years. I wanted to say that I know that shared housing works. It was one of the first housing situations that I got into where I started to really learn about myself, learn about relationships with other people. And contrary to some comments we heard today, this is actually a model that's been proven over and over. It's one of the oldest models as far as housing is people rooming up, right? So what I want you guys to be cautious about, and where I'm scared that you're going to go wrong, is that in this attempt for a pilot program and to gather data, I'm afraid that there's some redundancy and of it being overcomplicated. So there are plenty of independent living, shared housings that exist now that aren't being funded. So I hope that this data collection will ultimately serve for a pathway to be able to fund the current operators of shared housing. And the last thing I'm going to say is please, please, please incorporate people with lived experience in this. Don't just open this and say, oh, somebody got something stolen and somebody got mad. There are intentional measures that you can take as far as privacy and security that will make all the difference as far as your output. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
This is Cynthia. I've been listening to what people are saying about shared housing and so forth. I'm sorry, but if you guys look at the real situation, I've called many of you because of the problem. What you need is landlords who do not have apartments that are $2,000 a month and require and demand that you make 3 to 4 times that much. Because most senior citizens and most people who are on disability can't afford 2, 3, 4 times. That means they have to have $4,000, $5,000 in 1 month to move into an apartment. In El Cajon alone, every single manager has said, well, yeah, the amount's $1,700, $1,800 for a 1-bedroom or a studio, and you need to make $3,000 to $4,000 per month. Whole band management has bragged their employees, oh, well, our employees can make $4,000 a month. It's called, you guys are being in denial, and the shared housing is dangerous. One accident is too many. So you need to talk to these landlords into them demanding that you make 3 or 4 times the rent. Otherwise, nobody can afford it. That's why you have so many homeless on El Cajon streets. And we've talked to Mr. Desmond. We've talked to the other supervisors. You all smile and say thank you in front of cameras. But after that, you don't want to be bothered. Your employees are rude to people on the phone when they call with these problems. I call each and every one of you trying to get help, and the only person I got help with to find an apartment was Michelle Mitchell on the San El Cajon City Council. She cared. She went out of her way to help us. But you guys just sit there in your offices and not really care about the real world out here and what we're actually going through. Somebody can live in a motel and have to...
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller. Next caller is Kathleen Lippett. Your device might be muted. We'll come back to that caller.
Truth. This is all about addiction. Every last word. Just kidding. But a Marshall Plan for homelessness affecting our seniors. Whatever the weather, we only reach welfare together. That was a propaganda poster in 1950. That plan failed and intentionally funded the world's decline into socialism and communism that paved the way to the homelessness epidemic we now all suffer from. This program is essentially trying to hit two birds with one stone. Help our elders with housing and help younger struggling people with paying for rent. Sad reality, but not necessarily a bad idea in concept. But what about execution? I'm concerned with abuse of the program by bad actors if they're not properly vetted by the omission of specific requirements on what kind of living situation is appropriate for our elders to share in. Is the extra bedroom a closet? Is it a tent? In the county's eyes, is all it takes to be a home provider a single room? A room is not a home. It's a last resort. A last resort that costs $311,000 just to match only 25 people per year is outrageous. $96,000 in staffing is a third of the cost. Mediation services is obviously going to be required because you guys know there's going to be issues. And if this is a county program, who's going to be responsible when it does? For example, if a room provider ends up scamming one of our elders, stealing their savings, or manipulating them for control of their will, what's the mediation? If you supervisors take full responsibility for the potential negative consequences, I will consider supporting this. And if this is all, the local Marshall Plan. Austrian school economist Ludwig von Mises said, quote, "The American subsidies made it possible for Europe's governments to conceal partially the disastrous effects of the very socialist measures they have adopted," end quote. But what do we have left to hide with our dive into socialism? Nothing. That's why you can't support it.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I want to thank staff for putting this together. I really appreciate it. I listened to the speakers. We're not, I need clarification. We're not matching 20-year-olds with seniors. This is senior to senior matching, correct?
Thank you, Supervisor. There is a requirement that the house seeker be 55 years or older, but not an age requirement on the homeowner or the home provider.
Gotcha. So when I went through it, I was curious. Part of the cost is marketing and outreach. Have you taken in consideration? So when I brought this board letter forward, I looked at the volume of people that went for the senior subsidy, and I believe that number is around 2,200 people that applied, and I believe, and my numbers may be off, and please correct me, that 400 of them actually got into the program. So that means there's over 1,000 people who would meet the criteria of this program that we already know who they are, and we also know. And when Supervisor Lawson, Reamer, and I put shallow rent subsidies in place, and when I put safe parking in place in my district, and I proposed this, is I was looking at the homeless issue, not just addressing people on the street, but avoid allowing people to fall to the street. And we knew that 55 and older is the fastest growing number hitting the streets. And I believe it's more cost effective and it's more charitable to keep grandma and grandpa off the streets. So with that in mind, have you thought about going back to the people that applied? And I'm going to wrap it up into another issue. The county produced a video of a woman who was using our safe parking, the one that I created on Magnolia, and she was in her 80s. So have we taken in consideration people who are using our safe parking, who have a limited income, they have a vehicle, and yet they have no place to stay? Are these people being prioritized? Because what I'd like to see is less money spent on marketing and outreach and more matches. And I'm thinking that if we go to the pool that we know about today, we don't have to do any marketing. We should first start with the people that we know that are in need.
Thank you for your question, Supervisor. So of course, members in one program are eligible to apply for and will be considered for the new program as it's developed. So that would be definitely one of the first considerations as the provider implements the program.
I want to be a little more proactive than that. I'd like for us to proactively reach out to them and make them aware of this program, saying that you qualify, potentially qualify, would you like to explore it? If we just advertise it out there, they may not know about it. You know, my office, and I'm sure everybody else's office, worked extremely hard to promote the senior subsidy. Every community coffee I had, we sent out emails. Every community coffee we had, we said, if it doesn't apply to you, maybe you have a neighbor, a friend, somebody who's on the cusp. And we did this incredible outreach to get 2,200 people. And I got to believe that too often people fall through the cracks because they don't know about these programs. I would have thought that number would have been 5,000 or 10,000 people applying for shallow rent and subsidy, just based on the number of calls we get to our office. So those are the two things I was most concerned about, is that, you know, we prioritize the safe parking folks and go back to the shallow rent and subsidy folks before we go beyond it, because we may find our quota right there, and if we don't spend a lot of money on the advertising, then perhaps I would love to have more than 50 people being placed. And when I think about, you know, 400 shallow rent subsidies, and yet there's 2,200 people out there, you know, it'd be great if we could do 500. So thank you very much. Keep up the great work. I appreciate how hard you've worked on this. And that's a motion to support it.
Supervisor Montgomery. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I want to thank the public for speaking on this item. In particular, the lived experience advisors. Thank you for your continued advocacy in this space, especially as a part of the HEAL network. I wanted to know how we got to 25. How did we, 25 per year over a 2-year period, how did we come up with that number?
Thank you for the question, Supervisor. As a pilot program, we looked to design a program that could be implemented and tracked over a 2-year period. And as a pilot, we would come back with those results from the logic model, and at the board's discretion, see if that's a program that should be administered at a different level or not.
Okay, how long is it going to take us, based on that model, to begin to see that matchmaking start to happen?
So we anticipate having a contract in place by the end of the calendar year with the program design fully ready to be rolled out by the provider. So we would hope to start seeing matches shortly thereafter. Okay. So for 2 years of actually matching.
So we're saying at the end of this calendar year?
Correct.
So there will be no placement until the end of this calendar year?
Correct.
Okay. Let me just ask, first say that we know that the point in time count is coming up. We know that last year we saw results, particularly for this population, increase at least by 25%, I believe, from the previous year. I also have to bring up that we understand that homelessness among Black San Diegans is about 27, 28%. General population is about 4 or 5%. The fact that we're first only starting out with 25, and I feel that won't even make it a dent in what we may see in this new point in time count. Supervisor Anderson went over some of the numbers that we already know. I know that it's not easy to bring anything through a bureaucracy, but I do believe there has to be a bit more urgency, especially with this particular population. And with this model that we know, as one of the speakers said, is really, it may be an easier model than building a unit at the cost of $500,000, you know, that kind of, this may be a much easier model. So I do feel like if there's anywhere where we may be able to accomplish something with a quicker timeline, it would be something like shared housing. In addition to that, I know that some of the people with lived experience and have their, maybe some informal networks, understand that people are doing this already. And so the question becomes, how do we take everything that we've done, the safe parking, the subsidy, where we have gathered this data and information already, community organizations that know where people are and understand what people are going through, and make this a bit more urgent so that we could begin to see placement in 90 to 120 days, at least begin.
Supervisor, thank you for your comments. We have the benefit of having researched other programs, and so we have the kind of the underpinnings of what a new program would be, and we can definitely expedite the process, the procurement process, to establish it at a much sooner pace.
Okay, and the procurement is for the for what part of the matchmaking?
The provider.
Okay,
correct.
the provider.
Yes.
And we'll, okay, so this company, organization will take in information from where? From us?
Definitely from our research, from our what we've learned, and from other programs to be able to create the new program that will be implemented. So yes.
So they'll take information from people who have signed up to be providers and people who have signed up to be home seekers.
So the first step would be to create the program, yes. So they'll gather through our process to help them create the new program, and then definitely once they implement, it will be gathering from both a provider and seeker to match them, and hopefully do that in a quick fashion.
Okay, and then once that all of those things occur, there is a requirement here that a home seeker pay no more than 30% of their income. Will there be check-ins from the county? How will we enforce and monitor that piece?
So as part of the contractor's scope of work, they will provide at least annually and more if necessary check-ins with both parties.
Okay, and what is our accountability mechanism with this company? How do we check that they're checking?
Yeah, so we do annual and regular monitoring of all of our contracted providers, so there will very extensive process to ensure they are doing what they've been charged to do with.
Okay.
Those include both desk and on-site reviews.
Okay. CAO, thank you.
Yes, thank you. I just want to make sure that that will be in the RFP very clearly spelled out so that they know that they will have to report. I would also recommend that they provide you with a quarterly report, an update of what the rents are that are being charged, so that you can also do a verification. If it's only 25, that's a simple verification. Hopefully you'll have a lot more than 25.
Yes.
I know I won't be here, but I'll be watching.
Absolutely.
Well, put your stamp on it now. You know, that's important.
She's like, I'm calling you.
I think as I close, and thank you for answering the questions and understanding where I'm coming from. This is very urgent, and I do think that we have the resources and the expertise to move at a faster pace. One of the major issues that I find with all of the programs that we do have a large philanthropic community. We have, you know, a lot of people, most people, probably 95% of the people agree that the issue around not being able to house people at a rate they can afford is something that we all need to be responsible for. One of the problems that that I run into is that folks are asking, like, who do I call? It seems like the resourcing and the help is sort of, there's a gate kept around the help. And so my question and it's something to think about as we're building out the program, if I met someone out in the community that needed to take advantage of this program, where would they go? Who would they call? What office would they go to? And so in addition to reaching out to people that we know are in need, will we have something set up where people can call? And that may be a more expansive conversation because this program won't be for everyone, but that's something that we're really running into. Do you have any thoughts on that, generally speaking, or specific to this item?
This type of community resource program is exactly the thing that 211 San Diego is built for. So we'll make sure that this is one of the places that we would direct people to. I direct people actually with any needs at this time to be actually calling 211 San Diego if they have a housing need or a medical need. But they will certainly be one of the providers that they are aware of that they could direct individuals to if they think initially qualify.
Yeah, and we need to have a discussion about 211 too. Yeah, and I mean, and I know that the intent is there, and we'll discuss that in the very near future. But we do need to have a discussion about that and roll back and evaluate. That's why I asked the question: how do we check our vendors, our providers? Because it's very, very important. So, and I do still tell people to call 211, by the way. Okay, I will second this. I think it's very important, just with the understanding that we will move forward in a much more urgent matter, that we will have people begin to place people certainly before the calendar year and hopefully by the fiscal year end. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just thank you to county staff for the work you've put in bringing this forward, and also thank you to my colleague, Supervisor Anderson, for proposing it. I think this is a great idea, not only to address our housing crisis, but also to address the crisis of growing social isolation among older adults. So I think it is really just such like a wonderful, thoughtful idea, to add more praise to my colleague for bringing this forward. I think it's exactly the kind of thing we need to be looking at as we tackle these challenges around homelessness and housing, because it's data-driven as well. We have proven models from other jurisdictions. We know that it works, and we know that it can be relatively cost-efficient. So cost efficiency, proven data, these are all really good things. I think I just want to, build on some of the concerns already voiced by my two colleagues, which is, I think this is great, but I think it's too slow. I don't know why it's going to take us to the end of the calendar year to get a procurement contract when there's already, 17 programs that look like this at other counties across the country. So we're not inventing something from scratch, right? This is something that's been done. I feel like we should be able to get this moving much more quickly. And 25 seems real small. We have a massive, massive challenge on our hands. And, I feel like, as Supervisor Anderson pointed out, we had nearly, 1,800 people, 1,750 or so, who applied for a senior shallow rent subsidy, who were not selected and who are already eligible. So it feels like we should be able to move much more quickly and much more ambitiously in terms of scope. And I think the third piece, sort of interrelated, that is the sample size of 25 is real little for any kind of impact assessment or data-driven assessment of the program efficacy. So I'm, from a data standpoint, in terms of studying whether something's working or not working, 25 seems too little to have any robust power to be able to kind of do any real assessments. So I guess this is not new. This is what my two colleagues already mentioned, but I'm just hopeful before voting for this that we could kind of walk out of here with some more ambitious goals that we're all kind of able to state here today in terms of number of folks that we might be able to get enrolled and timeline. So just kind of turning back to the team, I know you already mentioned you thought we could do more and do faster, but what would that really look like concretely? How many more and how much more quickly?
No, I think, again, we work closely with our colleagues at WEPA to sort of make sure that we could evaluate the logic model with the 50 individuals that we have and follow them over time. I trust the numbers that they have in terms of making a robust analysis. I don't know if our WEPA colleagues might want to make any comments specifically about that, but we can be assured that we will try to move this as quickly as possible. Based on, again, programs that exist in other locations, I think that we will be able to leverage the existing databases of individuals who have already applied in such a way that we can make this happen at a much faster rate than we've currently presented here. So I actually have high confidence in that.
But thank you, I appreciate that. I'm just sort of trying to get a little bit clearer about goals. So faster means what? Faster means June, faster means July. What does faster mean?
So we can definitely have the RFP out in place by next month and the contract in place by the end of the fiscal year to set this program in process.
What I'm hoping, and I mean, maybe this is not possible, so that's why I wanted to kind of elucidate this in a conversation, is that we could actually have people placed before the end of the fiscal year. So if we're looking, I'm hoping we have people placed by the end of summer. So if we're looking at, we only have the contract in place by the end of the fiscal year, we're not having nobody in anything this year.
So Supervisor, would it be appropriate then to ask that we vote on this today and then you come back and either do a report, well, you're not going to be the CEO, but to your colleague?
I think that's the way to go.
Right?
I think it's very clear. The direction is have people placed by July 1st. I have a text already to Jack Pellegrino, our head of Director of Purchasing Contracting. He hasn't responded yet, so either they're having a heart attack or he's not listening to the meeting. I don't know which. But I will connect with him before I leave today and make sure that we do everything possible to expedite it. We'll follow the procurement process, though. We won't cut any corners. We're not going to sole source unless you all tell us to sole source. No. So we do have to be true to that process, which is putting together the RFP, laying out there for enough time for them to respond, and then do the evaluation and get them on contract. And that does take a couple months, but it shouldn't take 5 or 6 months, particularly if we expedite it. And then I think simultaneously, rather than waiting, I think we can reach out to some of these folks. I would recommend that if that's at all possible, that you do that to see, would I be interested in making a match? Would I be interested in offering my home? Would I be interested in the shared facilities? So that when they are on board and you have the contract in place, you can just hand them, here's your first list to start working from to help expedite that. With the goal of trying to have people placed as soon as possible within the new fiscal year.
And I think the other thing I would add is if you look at the model of the Leave No Veteran Behind, that could be, it has been a very successful model, so we can look at some of the work that they've done there in terms of outreach and connectivity, so that you're doing the work parallel. I think that it seems, I know there's a lot of things that have to happen between now and then, but I feel like we have some internal models where things can move faster than they usually have that have been positive examples. Supervisor Anderson?
I love how this has gone organically in the direction I was hoping. But on that RFP, when we do that, if we're going through and asking from those in-house lists that we have already, if they came back and they said 600 people are absolutely open to sharing their home or to share a home with someone else, would it be possible for us to have our team to report back to us so if we want to expand this? One of the concerns I have, and so many people responded, 400 people are ecstatic that they can stay in their home, right? Those 1,700, 1,800, they're going to lose their home. We already know they're at risk because they had to be at risk in order to apply for this. I think that number of 50, if we're able to go back to this pool and we were able to bring that number close to 400 to match the shallow red or even higher, to me, I don't want to see those people hit the streets. And even if this turns out to be a horrible program and we end up killing it 2 years from now, at least we kept those people off the streets. And Supervisor Montgomery Stepp, you're absolutely right. We saw these numbers grow dramatically from year to year, and we're not keeping pace with it. We've got to be much bolder in our approach, and I was very disappointed when I saw the number of 50. And then I looked at the cost, and I thought, are we even talking to the people who already self-identified? And that 80-year-old woman who's living out of her car, don't tell me that she wouldn't be on this in a heartbeat, because she's looking every day for a place to live, according to our own video commercial of how that program's productive. So I'm open to an amendment if there's a way to get there, because I'd like to be much more aggressive with this if that is the, but I also don't want to set a bar so high that we aren't achieving it, and I don't want this to be a $20 million program.
Well, I have it in writing now from our Director of Purchasing and Contracting. 4 weeks. He just committed 4 weeks. So thank you, Jack. I'm glad you are not having a heart attack, and I'm glad you're going to get that done. So we'll get an RFP out on the street and have a provider. He will expedite that. And then we will simultaneously start working on that, and with the goal of having as many placed as possible. I don't know, Ricardo, I know you're here. I would like you to look at that closely from an evaluation standpoint and see how you would handle that. If it was, more than 50, how can you do that effectively? And then we can send you a report on that so that you'll know exactly what we can handle in terms of the evaluation piece of it, and we'll proceed from there. But we hear you loud and clear, and pedal to the metal.
And he wasn't having a heart attack, he's sitting right there. So he's taking a lot of
Jack,
notes.
next time just jump up and answer the question,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Save me the text.
Yeah, but, okay. So, and then I also think, did you have something else, Vice Chair?
I was just going to say, if Supervisor wanted to make a formal amendment to increase the goals of the timeline or whatever, I would be supportive of whatever. It's your item, so however you want to proceed.
Well, hold on.
Does Sarah
He
need
made
a
the
formal
motion.
amendment?
Give me 1 second. Supervisor Anderson made the motion. Supervisor Montgomery seconded. So if there's anything that...
Do we need to make a formal amendment, or do you think we're clear with our purpose?
I think
I don't want to make this more difficult.
I think the direction is maximize as many as you can within the evaluation and build the program around that.
Yeah.
And we will report back to you with what that will look like. And we'll report back to you within 3 weeks, 2 weeks. We got to get the RFP out, so I'm looking at Patty because she's...
3 weeks.
3 weeks, we will have a report back to you on what that number will look like and what we're going to do. And I
Okay.
thank you both.
And then, thank you, everyone. And so the other item, and so thank you for all the work on this particular issue. This is something that's near and dear to my heart, and we've been working on making sure that people actually have housing now for a bit. But one of the things that I just want to make sure that I share with my colleagues is that, remember, we are doing an assessment of all of our unsheltered programs, our homeless, sort of enterprise-wide, some of the challenges or opportunities that are there. And I think Paul is listening, and he's going to be leading the efforts on this. To me, it's extremely important that these are the things that we're looking at how quickly does turnaround take, to get things done? How do we implement? Because we come up with, I said earlier today that we did numerous board letters between staff and the board members up here. The implementation piece and the operationalizing, these wonderful ideas is what's really one of the most important priorities. And so as we're looking at budgets, I think it's going to be a top priority for our interim CAO, and the work that we're doing as we're moving forward is how do we make sure we're operationalizing all of these ideas that all of us have, and that they're being done quickly because our communities are in great need. So I do believe that the assessment tool under the, our overall homeless enterprise initiative and the works that we're doing there, I think is going to be another wonderful tool, including looking at our procurement process and things of that nature. So that was the hope of that assessment. And I know that there's a couple of different dates that are floating about when we're going to have the first report, but we're going to try to push that more and make it quicker than that. So with that, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Are we voting on a lunch break?
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
So, all right. So we have one more item before we go to lunch. Y'all, is that fine? because I want to make sure that we have a discussion item number 11, which is the administrative item, second consideration adoption of ordinance, amending section 363 of Article 20 of the San Diego County Administrative Code relating to filing fees to seal or expenditure record pursuant to Assembly 134. So I'm going to go ahead and call for public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. We have 9 requests to speak on this item, 4 in person, and 5 requesting to speak by phone. Also note we did not receive any e-comments on this item. Any members of the public that requested to speak on item 11 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speaker, starting with the individual in favor, followed by those in opposition. I'd like to invite forward Mark, followed by Gambler, Audra, and Consuelo. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board.
What names did you say again?
This is item 11, calling forward Mark, Gambler, Audra, and Consuelo. You may come up in any order. Again, you'll have 2 minutes. Item 11.
Could you please go ahead and move forward? Otherwise, you're going to forfeit your time.
Hi, Mark. For once, I actually approve something you're doing. Of course, it's a good idea to drop the filing fee for expungement or sealing of records. 549, oh, by the way, everyone should see these videos on YouTube. The sections are listed below. 54954.3C, you can criticize omissions as well as the policies. The action, omissions is defined as the action of excluding or leaving out someone or something, a failure to do something, especially something that one has a moral or legal obligation to do, according to the Oxford Dictionary. So some of the people that you were admonishing this morning, Nora, they have a right to mention omissions that you may not consider relevant, but they do. So anyway, again, I agree with the filing fee being dropped for this, and thanks for doing that.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Not like I have a lot of notes. I don't know why I brought my notebook. Anywho, my person uses the name Audra. Yeah, I mean, it is good to get rid of a filing fee, but then I wonder, why are you doing that? Why is this on a discussion item? When just the item that we had before, and you're talking all this about, which is very important, we're putting all these things on consent. And this is something that could be on consent. It kind of doesn't make any sense as to why we're having, a discussion item like this when there's other items on the consent calendar that should be recognized and have discussion on. We've already seen this. This would be considered routine, right? Because you're already going to pass it. It's already been talked about. And these other ones that are more important, it's like we don't even have any time to be able to talk about it. But I mean, that's the idea, is it doesn't really matter what we say because you don't care about what we say. It's about what you guys already have planned that you're going to do. And it's just sad to think that you are so disrespectful to the people and their time and their voice that you don't even give us time to talk about real important things, and then you'll give me 2 minutes to bullshit with you guys about something that really isn't that important. So it's just, I mean, it shows the way you guys do business. You don't want to hear from the people about important matters. You would rather shut them up, tell them they're off topic and all of these things. And it's just sad because you act like you sit here and profess and want to, tout like you care about the community and what they have to say, and you really don't. It's a disgrace to think that you'll you just want me talking about bullshit for 2 minutes when there's something that I could be talking about that would be way more important than this. But it just shows, because look at, you're all cowards looking down.
Next speaker, please.
Consuelo. So, yeah, great. Dropping fees. Just to probably add other, well, not probably, just to add other fees in the future. More fees. Another way government steals our hard-earned money. Fees, fees, fees for the tax cattle slaves, as though we already aren't paying enough up the wazoo in taxes. We're taxed for everything under the sun. Gosh, they want us broke. Yeah, property tax, capital gains, income tax, inheritance tax. Even when we're dead, we have to pay. Yeah, wake up, humanity.
Next speaker, please.
Before I talk about issue number 11, I noticed that Joel took a pot shot at my comment regarding the 20-year-old person and the older person. Just to find out that you didn't even know the rules of the item that you are pushing. To find out that, yeah, that is possible. Which leads me to believe, do you know anything that we're doing? Like the true ins and outs? Or were you told to go ahead and stick to a particular point? I really don't want to take the path that I think I'm going to end up taking. So, agenda item number 11, period. Administrative item. Second consideration and adoption of ordinance. Article XX of the San Diego County Administrative Code relating to the filing fees to seal or expunge a record. Now, I could go ahead and continue talking about this issue in this fashion if this would make you happy, Nora. And I could do this on every single issue, extending the time for every single meeting accordingly. I could play these games probably better than you can. Do you think I have a plan for number 15? Do you think I'm going to pressure you to invoke it? 100%. I intend to make you force it.
For the record, the speaker was Gambler. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. We'll start with our first caller.
Hello, Alan C. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Ms. Potter. Yeah, filing fees, yeah, of course we want to get rid of all fees, but wait a minute. Is this filing fees for people who are supposed to pay a fine for court sentences? It's not very clear, but the way I'm reading this up, that's what it is. So, again, you're siding with the criminals, but yet these last few years, you didn't stop the tax when you closed all the business. You got another tax on top of the transit tax going into next election. You're going to punish the taxpayers, yet you let the criminals go free. What the hell is going on here, people? I yield back.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Truth, it's socialism going on. This item's equity statement still refers to the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights. This radical Oakland-based center was founded by communist Anthony Capel Van Jones. In 1995, the Ella Baker Center was originally founded as an offshoot of the Bay Area Police Watch organization that masqueraded itself as helping victims of police brutality, but it actively kept a database of the names of officers. That organization was an arm of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, which continues to do legal damage to the country, working with the likes of the ACLU, another communist-founded organization. Internationalist, humanist, socialist Ella Baker herself supported the Socialist Women's International League for Peace and Freedom based in Geneva, with an office at the United Nations headquarters, of course. Again, if this type of organization is being used as a standard of equity for this item, then that means the county is doomed to extremism rather than real, tangible reforms in the criminal justice system. Something else for everyone to consider is that filing fees being eliminated means that every taxpayer now puts the bill for someone expunging a record. In reality, this decision means that underserved, marginalized, and disadvantaged people will have even less resources or their taxes going towards the services they want and need. Because waiving the filing fee does not benefit everyone, or even most people, then this amounts to taxation without representation. But I'll say what idea I share with Ella Baker. The fact that real change does not come from a leader's charisma or credentials, but by organized people networking with all and treating all with respect, coming together as a united front. This is something many of us individualistic Americans seem to have yet to truly understand. But to be fair, it took the communists and socialists at least a few decades of struggle to figure it out. Strong people don't need strong leaders. That's something for everyone to consider, no matter where, if you're in front of the mic or behind the mic. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, that concludes public comment on this item.
With that, we have, is there a motion?
Chair, happy to move the item.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? All right, seeing none, please vote.
Chairwoman Vargas, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, fantastic. We're going to go ahead and take a half an hour lunch, and then we'll be back. I don't even know what time it is. 1:15? 1:15. Let's do 1:15. Thank you.
The board is in recess until 1:15.